All right, everybody. We are live back again with another English stream, and this one happens to be the same. Bring us your best arguments and convince us, basically, save us from hellfire. And because it's an English stream, I have with me Madan. Madan, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, a little bit under the weather, but I think you're sounding not too bad. All
Yeah.
right, so yeah, welcome to Philo Sapience. I'm just repeating the same thing, but yeah, what we do is we discuss religion, religious concepts, and mostly debunk bad arguments, basically, or just critique them if you want to put it mildly. So, what do we have today? I think we decided, Madan and I decided that, oh, okay, we haven't done a stream as per our promise of doing one stream every Wednesday. And so we just decided to do it. And so we don't have much to offer, but what we're going to do is we're going to review a few shorts and probably one 5-7 minute clip or something like that. Let's see where that leads us to. And what we're going to do is, in the meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the stream for anybody to come in and ask a question. And since this is an English stream, not steam, stream, Otangelo, if you're listening to it, since you dropped the last two streams and you didn't get to talk to us, you can join in and have a conversation, ask a question or whatever you want. And what we'll do is we will pause whatever review we are doing and take on the guest caller, and we can resume the review process. But yeah, we'll try to take the guest caller as quickly as possible. So without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add one of the first clips. This is a clip that was sent, uh, was sent to us by Callie, one of our co-hosts, who's not here today. And so I'm gonna steal it, and I'm pretty sure he had a few things in mind to say about this, but I'm just gonna run it without even his having his permission, basically. But yeah. You guys, I hope you can see the screen. Martin, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. So let's run it, right? So this is basically just to give you an intro. I think I'm not quite sure what happened. This guy, as you can see, his name sounds like a Hindu name, and let's listen to it and see what he says.
When I watch Hajj, I see Muslims are bowing to the Kaaba. Now, I know as an intellectual person that you are not bowing to the Kaaba itself, the cube, but rather to Allah. That's a focal point. So in exactly the same way, we use different idols, different icons to connect with that. But when we are bowing to those icons, making offerings to those icons, we are making it to the ultimate Brahman.
There is no comparison between the Hindu worship of idols and deities and Muslims bowing to Kaaba, because Muslims do not attribute personalities or will or even power to change things to the Kaaba. Kaaba is simply a spot that we all face to worship Allah. We're not actually bowing to Kaaba hoping things will happen from the Kaaba. Hindus, on the other hand, are bowing or worshipping idols, hoping for rewards, blessings. These gods have personalities, they have wills that may clash with the will of another deity or personality.
When I watch Hajj, I see.
All right. So yeah, I mean this is funny, and that's why probably Callie sent it. I think first thing
Yeah.
first. I mean you can't. I mean you can say there are differences between Hindus bowing to idols and all those things, but man, I mean you can't. I mean just like when you say that you can't know a Muslim's heart when he says, I'm praying, right, and I'm praying to Allah. You can't really know whether he's really praying to Allah or not, basically, right? I mean, you can't know somebody's heart, right? And the same thing is when somebody tries to connect to whichever God you want to say, right? Whether that happens to be a one God or one avatar or whatever you may have. Even a Hindu, if you ask him, he might say, okay, this idol is just a representation of, a godhead that I think is out there. It might be just one or maybe multiple. For all, it could be just one basically, and he might be. So you can't say that there are no equivalences basically. I mean, to say that it's just downright absurd is, I think, not right here. So there are similarities. If you're saying you need to bow down to the Kaaba, and that's your representation of bowing down to Allah, I think a Hindu can just rightly say so, that we bow down to an idol, and this is our way of addressing the Brahman basically. And Brahman might be just like one singular reality basically, right?
Yeah.
Or
Oh no, yeah.
right.
No, I've always thought very much the same, and I think Muslims here lack IQ and common sense. To be honest, it's almost like the simplest logical conceptual problems they don't recognize that are inherently flawed in their thinking, right? And I say that with without mincing words. That is what I genuinely believe here. At this question, I'm not saying, by the way, what I'm not saying is that Muslims are unintelligent. I'm saying they're thinking very unintelligently, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, I've never really seen, and within the Hindu ideologies, which is a collection of many different beliefs, I've never really seen them actually think, for example, the statue is one of the gods, right? It's more of a representation, more of an idealization, more of a kind of portal or something that embodies, perhaps, if they do end up attributing desires, wills, powers to the statue, it's more to do with the fact that it's a kind of vessel, a vehicle that can harness or harbor once it's there, right? And that is very similar to what Muslims do when it comes to Hajj. When it comes to Kaaba, right?
Yeah,
It's,
even you're right. Even during Hajj, that's the same thing, right? You bow
yes,
down, you make those 7 rounds, and then it's the same thing pretty much. And similar thing is done by Jews. 7 circumambulations. Hindus do that as well, I think, right?
But
During yeah.
the point
No,
is the Kaaba.
sorry. Yeah, I just digressed a bit. Bringing
Yeah,
back to the point, basically, yeah. I mean, bowing down and just as a representation, basically. Yeah. Sorry, Mike is yours.
the Kaaba is not obviously Allah. The Kaaba doesn't have its desires or feelings, right? But Allah has will, right? And you bow down to the Kaaba in efforts to. We got some guests here.
Yeah, let's finish this. Seatime, you're on this, on the screen, and so is Waqas. Guys, please hold on for a minute or two until we finish just reviewing this, right?
Well,
Madhav, please go ahead. Go ahead.
we can
Yeah.
converse with them if you want, because the last time
Finish your thought on this, and then once your thought is finished, then we can take them.
Yeah, no. So the point is these idols in Hinduism, right? I don't think they literally take these idols to be equivalent or akin to God, but it's just a small, slight difference, perhaps in location, right? It's not as though Brahman was created at the moment the idol was formed through a statue of clay or whatever. It's not as though Vishnu was created by man. They believe that these things already exist, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
then the statues kind of provides a visual representation and maybe even a location. If there are Hindus who believe, for example, the statue itself can become possessed with the spirit of one of the gods, then they still think they are distinct entities, that the statue in and of itself is inanimate, but becomes animated and they're not the same. It is not, though, the act of creating a statue created Vishnu. They are separate. Now, with Kaaba, it's a little bit different. We're not saying God comes down to the Kaaba. Well, it depends on your interpretation. Some people would, but it's very similar in the sense that it's a vehicle and they're not identical. Kaaba is not Allah, obviously, and Allah is not the Kaaba. But it is a form of transcommunication between the two. It's like a
Exactly.
and furthermore, as you just said, psychologically, is that sort of theoretical distinction maintained? Because when Muslims do go to Hajj and so on, there is this worship like dedication, devotion, admiration, and sacrificial kind of feeling that they have towards the Kaaba, right? It is almost
it is totally held sacrosanct, pretty much, in a
yes.
sense. It is that sacrosanctity maintained.
And that's more of a psychological, that's more of a psychological point that whilst it's easy to say, for example, the Kaaba is not a deity, and the same can be said about Prophet Muhammad, the same can be said about the Quran. Well, the Quran is God's words. The same can be said about anything that is seen as having high sacred power. Psychologically, we end up worshipping it, because what is worship other than that sort of kind of
devotion,
dedication?
kind of that kind of a devotion in a sense, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to end there and let our guests comment.
I think a lot can be said about it, but let's have our guests. I think we have Seatime, and I don't know who was here first. I think Seatime was here first. So let's Waqas. Let's talk with Seatime first, and then I'll take you on, right? Seatime. All right, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody.
All right.
Very glad to hear the words from the person. I think Madan was talking, no?
Yeah.
Madan. Yeah,
Mahadan.
Mahadan. Sorry, Mahadan. It's very glad to see a lot of things about Hinduism also. But I just want to add some more points in regarding this one. See, I am a Sanatani Hindu, so for us, what is the concept is the source which take you to the God is more important than the God itself, because ultimately you want to reach over there. Okay, you want to reach over there, so the process through which you go is the main thing which should be prioritized first. So the
All right. So
idol,
you're saying you worship the messenger more than the God, basically. Is that true?
it's
I
not
mean,
like
in a sense,
messenger.
I'm saying it in a loose sense,
Yeah,
basically, right?
yeah.
Basically.
On the
So for
first, on
you,
the
the vehicle is more important than your destination, pretty much, or whoever the creator is, basically, in a sense. Is
yeah, yeah,
is
because
that what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah, because we don't know, or
But
and
somebody could object to that, basically saying that that vehicle is under the authority of that creator, basically, right? I mean, a Muslim would definitely argue that.
yeah, so I will clarify that, because in a sense which you are taking is very, you can say, very surface, on the surface. It is very on the surface, you can see, like these things, because in deep, if you go, these idols are not messengers. Okay, these idols are the symbolism uh, for you to uplift yourself. Means this, like Ganesha. Ganesha, the god which most of the time you can see a god which head of elephant and body of a man. Yeah, Ganesha. So it symbolize, the brain should be bigger. Means you have a thought should be should have a more important than your physical body, physical appearance. Your thoughts should be greater than your physicality. you know so it's like that it symbolize little bit, little things, like you should have big ears, means you should hear more, and you should have a small mouth. In the Ganesha, the elephant's mouth is very small, so you should have a small mouth. We means you speak less and hear more. So it
Or
symbolizes
can
your
I
body.
stop you? See time. Sorry, can I stop you here? I mean, I agree. See, these are uh, I'm skeptical about these things, and I have these are these later symbolisms are later
A later
found out
version.
in, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, right? There's the same thing that you can find it in the Muslim scriptures as well, Islamic scriptures as well. What
Okay.
happens is you try to, something that is vague, that doesn't fit in, you try to find, reasons for it, and these
No,
are
no, no,
called
no,
later
bro.
redactions. Basically, these are
No,
later
no, bro.
redactions.
It is different thing. See, in Gurukuls in the
That's
ancient
what
time.
that's the thing, that's with the theist,
No, no.
because as
If if you let me correct you here. One thing. See, these all things are come from the Puranas. Puranas are almost in 12th or 13th, around 12th 13th century. It came into existence. It is because the childrens which are of the age of lesser age like 12 13 years old in the gurukuls, studying in the gurukul, find its way, what you call, find these concepts of the Vedas and Vedanta very difficult to understand. So what the gurukuls have done, they just started symbolization of the Vedic scriptures only. So they give a small symbolization for the small people, children, so that they can correlate with them easily. And then when later on, when they come to the higher studies, they are given the full context of these things. So not, it is not like that somebody has objected and then we are started to go over there. It is not like that. It is like that the Vedas, or you can say the Vedantas, are very difficult philosophies. If you have to be very intelligent and very much mature to grab that. Like I am a Advait Vedanti, so I can, if I start some things which are written in my Vedanta, you will find it very very confusing and very difficult to what I am saying. If you are not in connection to if you are very new to go for the connection to it. So they have done it in the 12th or 13th century over there. That time the Puranas were developed to just symbolize these Vedic teachings, you know. So it is not like that objection come and then we started to recollecting it. It is not there. You have all these stories, many stories are there, and they have a significant symbolization of the Vedic teaching, you know. It is a lot of stories, so it is not like
Yeah,
that.
but the problem is, and I have to take Waqas as well, and there are a few guys waiting in. So see
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
If you
Yes,
stay, then maybe we can talk a little bit more. But let's hear from everybody
uh,
else a little bit.
I'm here,
Martin, you want
I'm
to add
here, bro.
something before we take?
No,
No,
Just
no,
one
no,
point.
you
Just
can
one
take, you
point
can
I
take,
wanted
bro.
to make.
Yeah.
Just one, Mahadan, just one little point I wanted to make to see time. So you're saying that these were written in Puranas and all those things, and whatever the books are not too new. I think 12th, 13th century is comparatively new as compared to when these stories
Yeah,
originated, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so people were thoughtful, right? And they thought, why would this happen? Why would a godhead be an elephant head, or something? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
God's head would be an elephant head, and all those things. And so they try to come up with certain logic behind those, right? And that's what
No,
we
no,
hear
no, no, no,
from
not
as
like
well,
that.
right?
Ganesha, no, 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 no. Again, the Vedas have some teachings. Like Vedas says, a small thing I will say you. Like I will say you one story is given in the way, then you will know. Okay, it is very small story. It is of you will say we the churning of the sea. You understand the churning of the sea. There is story like that which we call it Samudra Manthan, turning
Right.
of the sea. Yeah,
Hmm.
Samudra Manthan. So this story is just developed in 12th or 13th century with these all the Puranas. In the same time, this story has developed to understand your concept. The concept is, when you start, if you have heard about it, that first the poison comes out when they churn the sea. The first thing came out from the sea was the poison, which then later Shiva has just swallow it, and the story goes on. So what is the significance was, it is not the story come first, it is the Vedas teaching which come first, which tells, when you start some work in the initial state, you find it very difficult to cope up with this. Like if you start a new work for some purpose, start working for a purpose, bigger purpose, then when you start in the first time, you will find very difficult to cope up with that habit, or you can say. But later on, when you swallow that what you call, when you swallow that pain and full stress, struggle, then you will later find the other things, like amrit. Amrit means, you can say, that
Nectar,
the,
nectar.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
very
All right. Madin, you want to add something before we move on to Waqas? And then I think we have Anthony in the waiting as well as K. Sanatan. So hold on, guys. We'll take one by one. So,
No, no,
and we'll try to
I'm
keep
just,
it short.
yeah, no, I'm just wary of the fact that we've got quite a few people here, so trying to give equal time to everyone. I wouldn't say anything to what. How do you pronounce your name? Sorry.
Seatime?
Seatime, right? I've got nothing really to say to that. It's kind of it's a bit of I won't say a tangent. He's making a more of a clarification as to what things that we said. My only objection was in the video, drawing some of the parallels between comparing the congregations that happen.
Yeah, the Islamic bowing
Yeah,
down of, yeah. Yeah.
congregations that happen during Hajj, pilgrimage,
Right,
etc.,
right.
and maybe the similarities that you can find, one psychologically and two at least philosophically, because first of all, I like I said, I think it's a bit of a defacement and of Hinduism to say that the statues are themselves like the whole point of the very kind of I would say naive objection that a lot of Muslims make is almost like the idols are gods or something that were created. That human beings created the gods. How can you worship something that you yourself created? How could that be a god? And I think that's a very naive way of looking at it. Simple as that. It doesn't. I'm not a Hindu, so it doesn't give the credibility to Hinduism.
will go on later on that. Now you will take other persons. If there is time, I will come on this
Sure, sure,
later on.
sure. So
Yeah.
will Waqas, welcome to the stream. What do you have today?
Yeah. Hello, guys. How are you?
Good, good. How are
Okay,
you?
so actually, when
Your
I first
Waqas,
your
your voice is a little bit distorted. Madin, can you hear him clearly?
No, I can't hear him
okay,
clearly.
now you are listening. Now it's fine. Is it fine
Uh,
now?
it's fine, but it seems slightly distorted. Is your mic too close to your mouth? Maybe.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, now, now.
All right. Anthony dropped out, I think. It seems like now it's better. Now it's muffled, by the way. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's listen to him.
Okay, okay. First of all, I just click your, I just saw your, the topic that was
The
different.
thumbnail.
But
The
when
thumbnail.
Yeah, thumbnail. But when I saw you both talking, you both are talking, especially you are comparing the both different things, which was not a justice, but it's fine because if someone don't know about the reality, then they can conclude by themselves.
What are
Okay,
different things we are comparing?
okay,
Can
yeah,
you be
yeah.
a little?
I'm
Can you
going.
clarify a bit? Yeah.
I oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Idol worship, and you are comparing idol worship with Kaaba. So actually, the problem is that first of all, anybody can understand that when you made some idol, you have a face, his hands, legs, a body, a different. They are different avatars, deities, gods, whatever they call it. Then the second thing, if you want to study, you want to deeply study the Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma from their their holy scriptures, then you will find the truth. Because most of the people today's, most of the Hindu people, especially, they even don't care what their scripture says. So they just go move on and on. So there is a pran pratiksha. There is some ritual when you place a new idol wherever you want to place. Then there are some hymns they have to they want to, or mantras they have to. First of all, they have to follow those mantras. So after that, that deities, that particular statue have coming some soul there, or like that, whatever the ideology is that. So you must read the pran pratiksha. It's very important because it's a special ritual. And even though when if that statue, if they want to remove that, then there is another ritual they have to perform. Because now if they just throw it, that statue, whatever the consequences or whatever the issues are there, or they want to replace that statue, then it's must they first they have to perform that ritual. So from that statue, that particular deity or that Bhagwan or whatever they call them, his soul will out from that. Then they just throw it or whatever they do. So if you read their scripture, then you will find a different thing. So that was not the comparison. Because if you go in Islam, you talk about the Islam, so it's clearly everyone knows. Maybe you are against the uniformity, because if we are disciplined, and we think our God says that you have to worship in one direction. So maybe if you have a problem in that, then we can discuss. It's about the ethics and morality. So maybe you don't like that why everyone should dress up like same, like if you find any army, and they have a principles that everyone should have some particular dress. So you can say, oh, what's that, that's not good. So maybe
Nobody,
it's against
nobody.
the you want.
So hold on. Nobody said
Brother,
anything
listen,
about. Nobody said anything
listen,
about.
listen.
1 minute. 1 minute.
So
Nobody said anything.
now,
Nobody said. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Nobody
Waqas,
said
hold on
anything.
for a
yeah,
second.
Nobody said anything about there being an issue about dressing in one way. Nobody said anything about worshipping in one
okay,
direction. Nothing like that was said.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm telling about our wisdom. Okay. So what's the perspective of Islam about the Kaaba? So I'm talking about that thing. So the second thing is that if you want to find the truth, then you should read Bukhari 1597 and Muslim 1270, in which Umar bin Khattab, may Allah please with him, said of the black stone when he kissed it, by Allah, I know that you are only a stone, and you can neither bring benefit nor cause harm. Were it not that I had seen the messenger of Allah kissing you, I would not have kissed you. So, is the problem here? Kaaba is just a direction. It's nothing. And even you can find another hadith if you want me to. I will show you. It's a verified hadith. The chain of narrators, everything, whatever. It's another topic, but I want to just ensure that if you ask me, then I will show you that those are hadiths in which it's clearly mentioned that Kaaba is nothing. Even in one hadith, it is openly but the wordings are there that the believer is better than this building. It's mentioned there that the believer, the Muslim, is better than that building, because it's a building. Yes, of course, we have to secure them, because it's our duty. And another hadith I want to present you, that
Why do
if,
you have to
for
secure it if
example,
it's,
I
yeah,
mean,
if it's,
wait a
hold on,
minute,
hold on.
wait a minute.
See, you
Just
can't
one,
go on talking
one
for
hadith
10
I
minutes
want
and
to.
then for us not to enter here, right?
Sorry.
Um,
Just last one. I want to I want to add my one hadith. Then I will be quiet. The second hadith is about, if you are in some traveling, you are traveling. So it is not compulsory that you should pray in that direction. So it is clearly understood that it's only a direction, because if you want to, how to say that, if we want to prostrate, then it's not easy for a human being that he should prostrate in a air, or on upside. So it's easy to prostrate, on land. So there should be there should be some direction. That's the point, and many other reasons. But already I took a lot of time. So Philo Sapien, yes, you may
all
go
right,
now.
quite a few problems in what you said, right? Okay, the first thing you said was that Hindus have what they have. They worship idols, basically thinking that those idols are the gods, basically, right? So I'm not 100% sure that that's what happens, basically. I think majority, and that will be clarified by either K. Sanatani, or I think he dropped out, or even Seatime probably if he jumps in. But let's suppose even if they do that, if they think that they are connecting to one true God through that, right? What's wrong in it? I mean, in their minds, if they think, if they think they can connect to this one true God through whatever means, through whether it be through Kaaba, or through Jesus coming as a person on the earth, or as an idol. These are only different ways of, that's what Mahadin and I were talking
Yeah.
about,
So let
that
me,
these are the
yeah.
transcommunication methods, basically, in a
Yes.
sense.
Let me just clarify. I never said that the Hindu idol worship is identical with the Islamic significance of Kaaba, or prayers in the direction of Kaaba. They're not. I clarified that, in fact, that they're not necessarily identical. I said there are similarities and parallels, substantive similarities and parallels, in the sense that Kaaba is seen as almost like a vehicle to organized prayer, have a sense of direction, but also as some form of kind of representation, but is not identical. So the Kaaba itself doesn't have desires. The Kaaba itself, it doesn't have feelings or something like that. Kaaba is not God. I never said that. Right? That's the first thing I said. But when I compared it to idols, in, for example, in Hinduism, I said there are similarities in the sense that, far as I've come to understand Hinduism, those idols are not are not the statues themselves are not the gods that were created by man. So when you create an idol with let's say stone or clay, you're not creating God, right? There is, however, some sort of ensoulment that occurs. Those gods were already existent. The man did not create a god, and there might be some sort of locational or spatial sort of intertwining between the two things. Obviously, that's different from the Kaaba. In the Kaaba, God does not become Allah doesn't become entwined with the Kaaba, but there is some form of transcommunication, and in that sense, they're parallel. Right? So, in the same sense that Muslims, for example, kind of prostrate to the Kaaba, it is almost like a vehicle to God. Hindus also kind of prostrate to these statues that they've created, which is like a representation or a vehicle to that
Right,
god. In that
exactly.
sense, they're similar, although not the same.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but the key point here is, Mahadan, the transcommunication happens through this one,
Yeah.
whatever entity you call it, basically, whether it be Kaaba or an idol of a god or multiple gods or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And of course, you can criticize Hinduism based on the heavy rituals associated with it, but then you can't say that Islam doesn't have any of those rituals. There are some rituals that you follow, and for us, Madin, myself, Khali, and Ugba, and others sitting outside, basically, of
Mm.
all these, would say that these are some have more superstitions, and some religions have lesser superstitions, but there are superstitions nonetheless, right?
Okay.
Okay, and
So the issue is that,
now it's not your turn still, because you made 3 points, right? This is only the reply to first point, right? Your second point was, I forgot what, the direction is not uh, important, basically. Then why have it? I mean, if you are an interplanetary civilization, and Islam is your truth, then you totally screwed up, basically, here. Why have Kaaba, right? What happens when you go to Mars or some other, if you colonize Moon? Because if, let's say, something happens to Earth, and humans leave Earth and colonize Mars or
No,
Moon, and
Philo,
then
I would object to you in the sense that, I mean, that's kind of not relevant right now, because we're not on Mars, we're not on Moon. That's a problem for later, if anything,
no, I'm,
right?
I'm what I'm saying, that this my objection is that direction. He says direction is not important, right? And then why have it is the question I am asking here,
Yeah.
and that's a huge
Before you
problem there.
respond, before you respond, let me also add to that, in the sense that what in terms of the reason it kind of stands out is because God is not directional. God is transcendent. There is no necessary need for order and arrangement of prayer to be in one direction, is there? So, in the sense that
Right.
it's not, I can understand. I have no real problem with this. There's no issue. I'm just saying it's not necessary to pray in, like, towards the North Pole, or towards the Kaaba, or towards the direction of the moon.
Or
Yeah,
towards an idol as well, right? I mean that
yeah.
objection applies to Hindus as well. I mean, it's
Mm.
not that only it applies to you know
Yeah, I mean, this is not really a problem. I'm not saying it's a significant problem, but I would say
yeah,
it
yeah.
indicates
I mean,
indicates.
if you have to apply it, you have to apply equally on both the,
Yeah.
you know right. Okay, what was your third point, Waqas? That's why I said just go point by point, because then we're gonna lose.
I just didn't remember, but it's okay. If you
All right.
you want to talk, then give me a chance that I should reply
Sure.
those issues.
If you don't mind, K. Sanatan is waiting. Do you want to add something quickly? I
Yeah,
think because
yeah,
our
yeah.
conversation with
Okay, okay,
Waqas is going to go.
yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for letting me in. I would like to clarify, like many times when the idol worship is referred, and then entire, like it's spoken, like entire Hinduism is believes the same. Actually, it's not the same. Just like in Abrahamic, you have got different beliefs with different sects. Like there are Jewish people who have got different beliefs. There are Christianity. So similarly, within Sanatan Dharma, there are Vaishnavites, there are Shaivites, there are Advaita. So everybody is going to have a different. So I come from a school of thought which is quite different from the Seatime, what he spoke about the worship. Actually, we do not see thing as idols, because like the thing. Can I explain like what exactly is the thing like we believe as per our scriptures? If you let me, is that fine?
If
Yeah,
it's
go
not
ahead.
too long, then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. So
Just,
actually, the
just
thing
try
is
to
like we
shorten it if
believe.
you can. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
sure. Okay, so the thing like we have got several scriptures which talks about how to do this worship, and basically it's about relationship. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita wherein like a supreme Lord says, if you offer me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So basically, it's a medium since the supreme absolute truth, like it's beyond our sense perception at current moment. Like we are separate from that truth. We do not have any experience of it as such. So out of his compassion, out of his mercy, he he manifests in form to reciprocate and accept our services, like to build a relationship. That's the basic thing in our tradition, the Vaishnava tradition. And just we are also monotheistic tradition, like we also believe in one god. So this is something like different, we would say, like apart from like other when you say Hinduism, like it often makes people often get confused, like different things. When we speak with scriptures. We have got our Puranas, we have got our Bhagavad Gita and the scriptures. That was my point. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So, if you are a monotheistic, basically Hindu, right? Uh, wouldn't that claim by Muslims be that you're actually a Muslim? It's just that the scriptures were corrupted, basically, and
Uh,
you know
yeah,
that 124,000 messengers went to all parts of the world. There is a hadith,
yes, actually, the how we see Islam
right?
is
So,
actually we do not see Islam as something as a competitor or anything like that. Can you hear me?
sure, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I got a call on my mobile, so I thought it stay. We do not see Islam as kind of a competitor or anything as such, like because we believe, like in our scriptures, it is said, Ishvara Paramakrishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govind Sarva Karan Karan. That means if there is a one God, he should be cause of all the causes. If he's the cause of, say, my religion, and then he should also be the cause of Islam. So there are conflicts in terms of people understand things differently. Yes, like so how we take this, like there is a complete disharmony, like a complete conflict. So how we take this is like we the things they bring out, like Muslims, they say that our scriptures have been corrupted, but our paramparas, we have got our parampara sister, our gurus are like even are empowered. We have like concept when gurus are empowered by God, and so this process is Sanatan. It's never going, like it's not like he was empowered for time and he's not empowered now. So this unlike like Islam, the chain breaks after Prophet Muhammad, like peace be upon him. But we do not believe that thing. We do not believe such thing, like God has to end up his system. Like he does not do, and it just goes on. Like the process of guru, it doesn't end like at a particular
So,
time.
so you believe all paths lead to whatever heaven,
No, we do not have such kind of like unlike
right?
Islam, which believes like
Or
there is
or
either
nirvana, basically.
no, yeah, actually, our thing is we believe after life. It's a very complex. If I cannot explain, there are three modes
Okay,
basically.
okay. Yeah,
There
I think
is,
we don't have to go into detail. Maybe we'll have Waqas
yeah,
get back on it.
after life,
And just
after
just
life.
one comment, on your take on this. I'm wondering what makes you two different, basically, Seatime and yourself, as in you think Bhagavad sorry, Bhagavad Gita should get priority over Vedas, which is what C Time, I think, believes, or Puranas rather. He thinks Puranas are more important than even Bhagavad Gita or Vedas, right? So how do you get into that conflict? Which one to put ahead of which ones? Because of course there are
No,
contradictions.
we also believe in Vedas. Actually, we also believe in Vedas, but we believe through the acharyas. We have got like acharyas, Sri Madhavacharya, Ramanujacharya. There are different acharyas, Nimbarkacharya.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
these are
I
the
see. I mean, my point is still stays, right? How do you
okay. The
how do you take
difference
which
like
ones
they
should get the priority, right? I mean, at least
Okay.
even with at least a Muslim can claim that, see, my Quran is there. That's my supreme authority, right? Oh,
Philo, why philo science. Can I answer this one if you want?
sure.
Wait.
Martin, you want to add something to it, or
Yeah,
yeah,
please, just a
yeah,
little. See, we don't. First thing is we don't believe in authority. We believe in the strength of your argument, or you can say logic. So basically, what happens is we Hindus, we have many scriptures, and they are developed in a period of time. And if you see the Vedas, which Rig Veda, then other Vedas, and then Upanishad. This journey, whole journey goes on developing the arguments. Means better and better the arguments are there, and then we come here up to the you can say Advait Vedanta and all. But there is not any you can say we are not bounding somebody to believe on this only and believe on that only. What we are taking is we are taking the best things from all this all, you know, the argument which is more stronger in a context of something. We take that argument in in prospect of that what you call uh, in the prospect of that thing, the
or
argument which is
in
more better.
improving your assertion, whatever, right? Okay, Martin, you want
Yes,
to add something to it? I mean, I do have a lot of things to say, but there are quite a few folks waiting in line, so I'll just hold my thoughts over here.
yes.
Uh, Martin.
No, no. My question. I just want to ask both of the very different Hindus here the same question. Is that all right? So just quickly answer me if you can answer like in a yes or no type of way, concise, right? So do you believe, for example, a statue made by man with their bare hands is in and of itself a god that has power over you? So
No, sure
no.
not.
God is
Okay.
omnipresent. Yeah, I believe God is omnipresent, so he can manifest. Yeah, his
Okay.
energy is everywhere. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if I break one of the statues, do I hurt God? What's going on there? What am I doing?
No,
Let's.
the
Yeah.
purpose of DT is just to take the reciprocate relationship. So it doesn't. It's not like if someone breaks the DTs, it doesn't impact anything. Like it's just
Yeah.
nothing.
So
Brilliant. Wonderful. That is
is
what I
it
thought.
there or not? Yeah, basically the question is still, yeah.
Well, that is what I thought. That's what I thought. So I think a very naive objection that I hear, it might not be Waqas's view. I don't think Waqas said anything like that. I'm not sure anyway. I don't think it's Waqas's view. Growing up though, a lot of Muslims used to say, like, how can you believe in a statue that you made? How could you create God through materials and then break it and think you destroyed God? But I always thought, just thinking philosophically, even growing up, I wasn't convinced that the idol itself was God. Idol was merely like a representation of maybe a vehicle, maybe a vessel, maybe a portal, something like that. But it's not God per se or gods. Yeah, those two things may intertwine and come together or something like that, but they're separate from each other. And therefore, you're not worshiping the statue. It's just a representation. And this is what I mean by a parallel, a very similar parallel to Hajj or the Kaaba.
I think Martin, that's what is our limitation, because we don't have a full grasp of the 72 sects of Hinduism, basically, right? And there might be a
Hello.
hello, Waqas, just a minute.
I think
And we have Geoffrey as well before Waqas. Sorry, I think we have quite a few folks. So that's what I'm saying, that we don't have that understanding of the 72 sects that Hinduism has had. Sorry, guys, I don't want to, mean it in a demeaning way, but yeah, I mean, that's there might be fringe ones, which might be Unitarians, which might be polytheistic, and there is an atheistic school of thought within Hinduism as well, right? So it's not surprising to hear that this kind of a view pretty much from K. Sanatan, basically. All right. Who's next? Shall we, Waqas, if you permit, can we just have a few words from Geoffrey, and then I'll get back to you.
Okay, I'm just waiting because a lot of claims against Islam, so I want to reply those claims.
All right. Let's say hi, hello to Geoffrey, and then we'll get back to you.
Hello, I just like joining different panels that discuss different
Religious.
religious religious theologies, and it kind of seems to me that it all kind of boils down to two different trains of thought, right? You have the polytheistic, multiple, like all those Hindu gods, and that runs right congruent with all the Greek gods and all the Roman gods and all the nature gods of the Native Americans even. And I believe there's a lot of truth within that way of thinking. But then you have the people that believe in the one creator God that created everything, and then that's so you got those two trains of thought, and it just seems like those are the two different bases of reality when it comes to religion.
Are you a Christian, by the way, if I may ask? It seems so, but I just want to confirm it.
I don't believe that there's a religion on earth that has it quite right.
All right, because you have that written in there. I think Yahweh Trinities are. I think Madan dropped out. I don't know why. All right. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that the Yahweh is our breath, and I believe that he manifested himself into our physical reality, and that confused a whole bunch of people. But that's just how he, or it, I should say. I call the creator God the Most High, right? It's the Most High is neither male nor female. The Most High is all encompassing. So, it's, I always feel like I make a mistake when I call the Most High he or she. The Most High is the Most High, all encompassing.
All right. Right. I think, yeah, I mean, the most fundamental question is how do you ascertain that something like that exists, basically, right? I mean, what are your good reasons, or what are your best arguments in favor of that? And I think all of you have some sort of similar sort of belief in that. Basically, all of you think that there is that kind of a reality, a certain creator, basically, or maybe a panoply of creators, basically, right? Geoffrey, I'm not certain, because when you said you are inclined towards those Native American, gods and all those, so are you saying that you are a Christian, but you also have a soft heart towards those ideologies, and you think maybe panentheism or pantheism is true, something like that?
I believe that pantheism has a basis of in reality, and through my belief system, there was a story of angelic creatures getting sent out of their dwelling place and told to reside on earth with humans. So when that happened, I believe that humanity had no choice but to recognize these entities as gods because they were so much more knowledgeable and powerful than humanity of the time. And they would, if they showed up today, they would be way more knowledgeable than us today. So that's where the confusion arises. An angelic creature is that, an angelic creature on earth, but it's not it does not have the power of the Most High, the Creator God that created that being. So that's where there's those two differentiators in religion. I believe that, yeah, it's. I believe they do. They do. The nature gods, they associate a certain angelic creature to the wind or to the fire and to the earth and to the sky and all that. And I believe there was truth in that. But it's not the one creator God of all of existence. It's their lesser. So to put your faith in them would be incorrect because they have free will just like humans and they can mislead.
Right. Okay. Madan, I think you've got a bad internet. Okay. Madan, you want to add something to that?
I didn't get much of that because I was coming in and out. But you want to comment on it? It's all right. I'll jump in a minute.
No, I think just Geoffrey just explained why he thinks that he's inclined towards these nature gods like the Native American Aztec gods or the Mayan gods or the Greeks or the Romans or even the Hindu gods and these polytheistic kind of as they're usually assumed to be gods, but he thinks that betting your hedges on them is not kind of wise because the supreme God is still the supreme basically. And so yeah, I mean that's what I got the gist of it from Geoffrey. But I think probably K. Sanatan, Seatime, Waqas and Geoffrey should duke it out between themselves as to which one makes more sense pretty much. But I'll turn to Waqas. Waqas, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. First of all, Case Nathni, I want to just respond some claims Case Nathni represents against Islam. First of all, he said that Abrahamic religion, and then in Abrahamic religion, he said Jews, Christians, Islam. So first of all, I want to clear him. According to our epistemology or our ideology, there is only a one message and there is only a one Abrahamic religion. And that's not Jews, Christians, because they already, their books are corrupted. And there is only one Abrahamic religion which is living is Islam. Then the second point, he said that there are a lot of sects in Abrahamic religion. So I already, first of all, I assure you, I already told you that according to us, there is only a one Abrahamic religion, one message, and the true message, Abraham or other prophets, they give a same messages like Prophet Muhammad, the last messenger, he gave that message too. So the second thing is that you said sects, but you don't know about that already Quran condemned those sects. And there is a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that yes, a lot of people thinks that they make some sort of sects, but there is only a one sect. That was not a sect. That there is only a one, particular people who believe on Quran and Sunnah. They are on the right direction. That's the real Islam. So claiming something, I just want to ensure you that claiming something is something else. For example, if you said our Sanatan Dharma is Islam, so that's your claim, but then you have to prove it, that is it true or not. So claims are nothing in Islam, especially. So in Islam, is clearly mentioned, and Islam, whenever Islam talks, he just not claimed, he also give you a lot of arguments, rational in a rational way, philosophical way, logical way. So that was important to give you the answer. The second thing is that the Philo Sapien, actually you give an example about the Mars. That was literally just a hypothesis, nothing else. That people live in Mars, and then how can people direct or like that? It's just a hypothesis. Million ago, people want to fly from this, planet, or want to live there in other place, but it's not possible for them. Or maybe if it's possible, then this is not the right time to argue on some hypothesis. It's just, how can I say that? Okay, it will happen. So what happened? It will happen. So I think your argument should be logical or explainable. That was the point. It was, yeah.
Waqas, I mean, it's increasingly becoming a reality, basically, that it's not too far in future that we'll be colonizing Mars and we'll be colonizing Moon, and it's already happening. We have a huge crew on ISS and other space stations. Even Muslims have been on those space stations. You know that, right? And they have had troubles on those space stations as to where to bow down, basically, right? You've heard of those stories, right? It's not
Okay.
I'm not just making any hypothesis. It's a reality. It's already happening, right?
Okay. So where are people living now? On Moon or on Mars?
In a space station, the direction is directly down below, right?
On a space station, they are actually, I want to say, they are spending
they
their,
have to bow down directly on their heads, basically, pretty much, right? Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to make that as a small point. I just
actually, I want to just,
that was a small point.
actually, I want to say that if some people are living in, living in some sort of, station out there or in space, that's not their living place, or their, they will not spend their whole lives there. They are just, they are providing some services there. And of course, if they are providing some services, they are travelers. I already told you that if you are traveling anywhere, then there is no problem. The direction is not a problem there. I already told you. So if you are talking about some travelers, that they are traveling outside and they are doing some job there, obviously they will not spend their whole life there. So then it's logically and rationally they are travelers. So I already told you that in traveling there is no problem about the direction.
Yeah, I think there are so many problems there. I just don't want to just engage in all those problems because there are other folks here as well, right? So
Can I just ask?
Seatime, I'm gonna take Seatime. I'm gonna hold you for a minute, and I'm gonna take Anthony de Nicola, basically.
Okay,
right?
Philo Sapience, I'm just going I will come to your stream when it's in Urdu because my English is not very good, so I'm not feeling so comfortable
You
here.
need to learn a little bit of
Thank you.
English to come to the stream. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes
No, just kidding.
my
Just kidding.
arguments should not be very clear, or sometimes I cannot understand as a
No, no,
whole.
no, no,
So
no worries.
it's very difficult to communicate. So when you have some Urdu, or Hindi, stream. So I came here, and then we will talk, and then
Don't
it's
don't
easy for me to
don't
talk.
don't tell me you're afraid of Madan. By the way, just kidding. Just kidding. All right.
Madan
All
is
right.
a good friend if he knows Urdu or Hindi, so it will be a good talk with him. But the problem is the medium.
All right. No worries. No worries. I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm just pulling your leg. So yeah, welcome anytime on our Hindi Urdu stream. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. All right. I took Anthony, then Nicole, and so who wants to talk? Madan, do you want to add something to? Yeah. So many
Yeah, I mean,
points.
let me just quickly say about something. That's why I said the reason I said it's not relevant before to you, Philo, is simply because that's exactly what Waqas could say is that that's not happened yet, right? He could just simply say, "Why is this an issue for
No, that's
Islam?"
happening. That's Madan. That's happening. I gave an example. That's pretty good example that's happening.
Yeah.
It started to happen. It does not mean that it's not a. I mean, it's not. It is. I think
I know.
very relevant
I broadly agree with
because
you. I just don't think it's a strong enough debating strategy or something, if you want to call it, as in to this.
I mean, it's a point. I think
Yeah.
because I don't think that there is a. It was well thought out. Basically, that it came in a world where they thought that the Earth was flat, and the point I wanted to make that's not
Yeah.
exactly the case. Basically, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So I would strengthen your argument by saying that the very fact that Islam takes over some of the 7th century rituals, which is facing objects, statues, icons, or other paraphernalia artifacts, is suggestive that this is not a transcendental being, sort of kind of behind it all. It's more predictive. So if you take the hypothesis that it's man-made versus take the hypothesis versus it's actually something God-given, right? The fact that there's a high likelihood in terms of the projections suggesting that there's going to be space colonization, there's going to be a civilization going across pretty much our solar system and then perhaps beyond the solar system, right? And it's not like a speculative or conjecture type thing. It's not like 50-50. It's getting to the point where it's the fundamental blueprint of the science, like terraforming and all this stuff, is already in fruition. It's already pretty much there, right? Just a few things that are missing. It's almost inevitable. Just like we have any other projection. For example, we have AI. We have projections regarding AI. We have projections regarding population increase. We have projections regarding wealth distribution. It's a projection when it comes to also space colonization. And if that's true, I'm not saying it is. If it's that part is true, then it does seem to be the case that our 7th century religion not talking about any of those things is indicative that this is man-made versus this is actually coming from a God that created the universe, right? And one of the pieces of evidence is that it focuses on this kind of orderly prayer towards a location point on Earth, when it doesn't really need to, because God is transcendent, God is multidirectional, omnipresent, etc., etc., etc. So if God had multiple different ways of arranging the state of affairs of worship, and he picked the one way that resembles a man-made form of worship, right? Yeah.
No, a man-made form of
Yeah.
worship from a perspective that the Earth is flat, and then
Yes,
their city
exactly.
is the center of the Earth.
Yeah.
That's
When
the
you add all
thing.
those,
Kind of,
when you
you
add
have
all those
to
ingredients,
hit
so you
home
need
the
to
point basically there.
Yeah. So as a debating strategy, I would frame it into that sort of kind of language, right? that this is
No,
all
but
resembling.
it's you can't go that long-winded basically with someone. Basically, you have to give a quick short of three
Maybe so.
sentences and just make your point basically.
Yeah,
Because you have like 5-6 people waiting, so you can't just do that,
yeah.
right? All right, go ahead. Who's next? Anthony De Nicola, right?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how are you doing? Where are you
Good.
joining from, by the way?
Yeah, I'm joining from South Carolina, America.
All right, go ahead. So you have a
So,
friend in Geoffrey. I think Geoffrey is also from North America, if I'm not mistaken.
oh wow.
Yes, but I'm not from. Is he part of the hurricane?
I am, yeah. Yeah, we got hit pretty hard.
All right, all right. Anthony, what do you want to add?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know much about your channel. I just stumbled across it.
All right,
So
welcome to
I
our
was reading,
channel. Yeah,
appreciate it. Yeah, so I read like your description a little bit. It seems that you were a Muslim and now you're an atheist. Is that correct?
we are a group of atheists. Yes, true.
That's me.
So,
Yes, that's me. Hands up. Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
so if I can ask a question, so why are you an atheist? What is your evidence for atheism being true?
Well,
What is
I think Stephen. Okay, Mahadan, go ahead.
Yeah, what is my evidence for atheism being true? So it's not just one thing; it's a multiplicity of very, very many different arguments. So it's not one single thing; it's a comprehensive sort of case. So atheism being true depends what you mean by that. You mean God does not exist? If that's
Right, yeah.
if that's the claim, and not merely just a suspension of belief, right? Then the reason I think there's a low likelihood of God existing, as defined as maybe a omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent deity, is a combination of arguments from naturalism. So I think a naturalism is a better worldview to explain the universe, and I think the arguments for naturalism are stronger than the arguments for theism. I think every single thing from religious experiences
Well,
to morality.
one second.
Let me
If I
just
can
finish.
chime in.
Sorry,
Let me
let me
just
just finish
chime in
off.
for 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, let me just finish off. Yeah. So everything from religious experiences to consciousness to morality to the geographical distribution of all religions to the existence of scripture to things like fine tuning or design, the apparent appearance of design or the cosmological origins of the universe. Or any other aspect of the universe can be explained with a more simpler, more theoretically virtuous theory of naturalism, which is akin to or synonymous with physicalism, I would say. Can be explained that way than the hypothesis of theism. I think that the theory or hypothesis of naturalism has greater credibility and evidence supporting it versus the theories of the very many different types of theories of theism,
Right.
Got you.
etc.
So, yeah. So first off, naturalism doesn't mean that atheism is
Hey,
true. Even if,
Anthony, can you
go ahead.
stop? Can I stop you for a second? Your
Go ahead.
voice is coming a little lower on the lower side. Can you
Okay.
come closer to your mic, please?
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I think we can hear you, but not as clearly. That's yeah.
Okay. Let me try and fix things up real quick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that's one of the things. I hope, Anthony, you're still
How
listening
about now?
to us.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Cool. All right. Wonderful.
Or
So first thing, his name's Madin. Is that your name, Madin?
Madan, yeah.
Madin.
Yeah.
Okay. So even if naturalism were to do it, were true, if I were to grant you that, that still doesn't mean atheism is true, because you could believe in naturalism and say that there still is a God who, laws of physics and things of that nature made all these laws that govern the universe. And so, yeah, that isn't a case or an argument for atheism.
So it depends really how you define naturalism. It depends how you define it.
Right.
This is what I said. If you think of an omnipotent, benevolent, omnipotent, those characteristics, maybe I missed out one aspect: a disembodied mind, right? So if you believe in a disembodied mind, a spirit, let's say, and it's omnipotent, omnibenevolent, omnipresent, etc., if you believe in naturalism, and if you think naturalism is, for example, akin to physicalism, and only the physical world exists, let's say, then by definition, you also rule out the possibility of this kind of disembodied mind. So naturalism, in this sense, would almost lead to atheism. They're not the same, maybe, but they have a connection between the two things, right? As in the conclusion of naturalism leads to the conclusion of atheism. In this case, in the way
right. So, yeah. So I would agree with you that those who are almost every naturalist is an atheist, but you can be a naturalist and not be an atheist because of what I just stated.
Yes.
But my next question to you is, so do you believe in an objective moral standard?
So if you're, so here's the thing, when you start defining,
I think yeah, one thing I would want you to clarify is the definition of objective.
Sure. So a moral standard which transcends me or you, and it is so no matter where.
Of mind?
Sorry, go ahead. Say that again.
Is it independent of mind?
It's not independent of mind. It's independent of our mind. So in other words,
yeah. So that's why that's the trick you have to do to base your morality, or somebody who who's a theist, to base their morality, objective morality, on a God.
Let me just finish what I'm saying first. Let me just finish what I'm saying first.
They agreed with this definition.
Let me just finish what I'm saying first. Yeah, let me just finish what I'm saying first, and then you can respond. So when I say an objective, absolute moral standard, I'm saying that these moral laws, they transcend us. So no matter what I think, it's still wrong for me to murder someone. And so that's my definition. Would you say that you hold to an objective, absolute moral standard?
Right. So let me just clarify what we kind of get into here. So in terms of if you are saying, for example, an objective moral standard, if you're making something akin to the moral argument, are you making the moral argument eventually with this?
I mean, I'm just kind of opening up things to, I don't really have a way that I just want to hear. I just want to. I mean, I could tell you my worldview. I just want to know about your worldview.
Right. Sure. So if I, for example, I don't believe in a disembodied mind that exists somewhere. Let's say, obviously, a disembodied mind doesn't exist in one locational point, maybe, and it doesn't have desires and feelings, isn't conscious or intelligent. That's the creator of all things, etc. Isn't omnipotent. And that's all I mean here by the atheism. Is that the same thing as morality? An objective moral standard?
So I don't see. So you just, I think it'll be easier if you just stick to my question. So
I know that's that's what I'm saying. Is that the same thing as an objective morality? Because if you think that's the same thing, then
no. So I would say that God is. I would say that God is necessary.
Yeah, because if you
there you go. So ultimately, that's the moral argument, right? And I reject the moral argument. I don't think God. So what you're making an argument.
Hold on. Okay, so you can. It's fine if you reject that. That's no problem there. I just want to know if you believe in an objective moral standard in the way in which I defined it for you.
I'm not exactly sure how you defined it there, but what I mean is
I think his definition is that he.
Philo, I know, Philo. If you're making the moral argument, which is that there is an objective morality, if there's an objective morality, God must exist, and therefore God exists, right? I reject the second premise.
You reject which premise? Premise 2? The
second premise, yes.
Which was God exists? Well, say it again. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Lay out your syllogism again.
So if you're making the moral argument, right?
Okay.
Yeah, which is that if there's an objective there is an objective morality, something like that. The morals are objective. If there's an objective morality, then God must exist. There is
Martin's rejecting. Yeah.
Right, I reject the premise that if there's an objective morality, then God must exist. In other words,
so fine.
Ontologically into God's mind or something like that, or only a transcendent deity or a mind or mentality can give a be an objective lawgiver or something like that. I reject that part.
Right. That
Right.
that
Let me
I
just
got
let me
it. I got it.
Sure.
So
Sure.
so here's the thing.
Go on.
I didn't even make the argument yet, but I'm glad that you're already thinking along those lines. So that's fine.
Mhm.
So here's the thing. You reject that premise. And so that would mean that you do hold to an objective moral standard. You just don't think God is necessary for an objective moral standard.
Well, I didn't say I did. I didn't say I did, but I do lean in that direction for the first premise. That is, I can think of very plausible, compelling arguments for an objective morality akin to mathematics, right? Although I don't solidify myself on it, because I am a philosopher ultimately, so I have my doubts about the strength of those arguments. But I do lean towards the direction that moral realism, some sort of objective morality, but I don't think a divine command theory works to ontologically predicate those moral morality on, right? I don't think the second premise. So my main dispute is against the second premise of the moral.
Got it. Yep, got it. Okay, so cool. So let's work with that. So if I went out of my car right now, because I'm talking in my car, if I went out of my car and I just shot someone in the head for no reason, do you believe that that is absolutely wrong that I did that?
I think that would be morally wrong in terms of a moral framework that we have.
Well, a moral framework, are you meaning because it's against the law? Forget about what the law says. Forget about what the law says.
No, I'm not talking about
I think
the law.
what do you mean by absolutely wrong, right? In all possible words?
First of all, let me explain how I think that. Let me tell you what I mean. I think it's you can make a good argument that independent to your subjective feelings, independent to your whims, independent to your values, that if we try to think about what it is to be like a moral being, that would contradict being a moral being. How do I do that? I think it's an analytical truth, right? It's an analytical truth, very much similar to 1 + 1 = 2, right? For example, the way I kind of understand objective morality is that when we think morality, straight away we think about certain axioms. What are those axioms? We think about stuff like justice. We think about with compassion. We think about benevolence, right?
Empathy.
Yeah, empathy. Now, would it be just or empathic or compassionate to just randomly go and kill somebody? That's a contradiction. It's like saying 2 + 2 = 17, right?
No, so you're doing a lot of question begging and making assumptions here that you're not proving. So here's the problem with what you're saying. There are many people who, in the past and in the present, who believe that it's okay to murder people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me that that's wrong. Who says that that's wrong?
Right.
I think Martin just explained it to you, basically, right?
No, he begged the question. He's assuming that there's axioms. How do you know these axioms?
On the things he said, empathy, compassion, justice.
Yes, but these are all. He said that these are axioms.
All right, hold on a minute. I'll explain it. I mean, when there's too many people talking, it's very difficult to to really kind of the reason I think that those are axioms of such is because I compare that to a very similar theory of truth. If you want to think that anybody can through relativity, pick any axiom they want regarding morality, then you should also believe that anybody can, through relativity, pick any axiom they want when it comes to truth. So, for example, just like our theories of epistemology when it comes to truth, well, why is, for example, a true belief, let's say, justified true belief, require, let's say, correspondence with the earth, with the world? Let's say the tree exists. Well, why is that an axiom of truth? That there needs to be some sort of correspondence. Somebody can just choose something differently. So, for very similar reasons, just like we think that there is like a definitional component to truth, I think there's a definitional component to morality. Now, you may say various communities have different definitions of like what's moral and so on. Well, when you look at the various communities and so on, when they do kill people, they first of all they kind of justify it through self-defense theories. Let me just make this point here. self-defense theories, or they think the other person's been bad, or etc. So there's still there's that definitional component of viewing it through some of those axioms, right? But at the same time, if there is this radical individual, like a psychopath or sociopath, who takes a completely different axiom, right? Say they think morality is just their pure selfishness, right? Would that, the mere existence of the psychopath or sociopath, disprove that those are moral axioms and that the psychopath's going against them? No, not necessarily, because if that's the case, then we have to say the same thing about theories of truth, because there are very many similar cultures today who don't think, for example, science is a basis of learning about the world, or logic is, or analytical thinking is, right? I think
all right.
Yeah.
Can I chime in for a second? Can I chime in for a second? All right. So you said that they're sociopaths. Why are they sociopaths?
What do you mean? Why are they? That would be a psychological reason, right? No, you're missing the point. My point is the mere. No. That's a different point. Why they are sociopaths? The point
I want to know. I want to know from your worldview why they'd be a sociopath by just doing that which the laws of chemistry,
to them it'd be a chemical imbalance,
right?
obviously.
Exactly. It's just something that they evolved into doing. So why are they a sociopath for the laws of chemistry and nature?
Hold on a minute. I'm not making a moral judgment by calling them a sociopath. A sociopath simply means that it's a person that who doesn't care. It's a descriptive term, not an evaluative term.
All right, cool. So time out. So
if I said, hold on a minute. If I said the sociopath is bad, then that's an evaluative term. Right,
Martin, you're going off on these rants and tangents, and we're not having a back and forth. Because my questions, I haven't been talking about. I'm just asking simple questions. You don't need to go on these long tangents. Okay, so I want to know
why are they tangents?
Because they're actually not even hitting my point, and you're making a bunch of assumptions even in your explanations. So here, this is what I want to know: is it wrong when Hitler killed 8 million?
I've already answered that. Look, I have already answered that, and then look. This is not tangents.
Just yes or no. Just yes or no.
No. This is our stream. Just listen to me. You don't come over here and just start asking questions. Let me answer it. I answered that yes, and then I gave an explanation. Why? Okay. No. I gave an explanation as to why those axioms are better fit for a moral theory, right, than other axioms. You can't just make up other axioms. Just like you can't make up other axioms for truth. This is actually a philosophical view within the philosophical community, right? That if you are to deny objective morality, then you have to also deny objective basis of truth, because every single thing comes down to basic axioms, including foundations of knowledge.
Here's the problem. All you're doing is this. You're saying that. Hold on, time out. So
hold on. It's not a tangent. It's a justification.
I got it.
It's a justification in the sense that I'm comparing moral epistemology or ontology to other forms of truth.
All right. So what you're saying is this. Let me make sure that I understand you correctly. You're saying that axioms are things that are self-evident. Is that correct?
Well,
and morality is one of those axioms.
I wouldn't say self-evident in the
it's discoverable is probably a better word, I would say.
Yeah, discoverable. I would say that just the way we do any other form of philosophy, through thinking about what is truth. Now, look, people can have various different definitions of truth. My point is, if you make an argument against morality being due to people having various different interpretations of morality, you can make the same arguments against all of philosophy, all of thinking, because people can have various different opinions regarding all of thinking.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what about if I pick a different axiom than you pick regarding morality?
Yeah.
I discovered a different axiom than you did. Who's right?
Sure. So what if somebody picks a different axiom regarding truth? So it's
that's the whole point. This is only a problem for your world.
So if you're willing to concede that people can have various different definitions of truth, then
no. So here's the thing. How would
you convince somebody? Wait. How would you convince somebody who rejects science? How would you do so? What if I have a different definition of science? Let's say you want to prove something is true to somebody, and they reject that basis of truth. How would you convince them? It's the same. Now, you see the parallel. Now, you don't have a problem with that. You still believe objective truths can arrive from that. And in a similar vein, I can still think objective morality can arise from certain axioms of
Okay, so here's the problem that we have right now.
Oh, that's Chloe.
Right. So the problem that we have right now is this: we both have different worldviews, right? I'm a Christian.
Chloe just got off the bus. I was like, who's getting off the bus right now?
Why are you on the phone? Jeffrey, you gotta mute yourself, buddy.
No,
Jeffrey,
Jeffrey, you gotta mute yourself.
You gotta mute. Yeah, please.
All right. So, Maiden. So this is the thing. We both have two different worldviews. You're an atheist, and I'm a Christian.
Yep.
So when you brought up your, truth. Well, what about if we have different axioms and truth? And then so that's not a relevant question for me, because I believe that the Bible is truth and God reveals truth to us through his word. So that's not a problem for me. These are only problems for you. So my question for you is this.
Anthony, our point is that you have to go through the same steps to come to your truth. You have to go through a certain axioms, basically. Your axiom is the Bible.
So
ultimately,
Anthony, hold on, Maiden. One second. Let me just say this real quick.
Anthony, ultimately, all forms of truth comes to something that is question-begging, possibly.
That's true.
No. So here's the thing.
First axiom that is hard to...
I disagree with that.
Without being circular, there's going to be a first axiom somewhere.
Well, yeah. So there ultimately does boil down.
So there we go.
Time out. Hey, dude, let me answer. Relax, man. Take it easy.
You just admitted yes.
No, I'm trying to talk, but you continue to talk over.
All right, go ahead.
Continue to talk over.
Let him finish.
Number one, okay, there's a way in which we can prove our worldview to be true without being circular and question begging, like you're doing. All you're doing is saying that there's these axioms, somehow I know them and other people don't, and these are objective. And other people don't have these axioms. And all you're saying is your worldview is true because these axioms. Well, here's the thing. Number one, I can just checkmate you by saying God's an axiom, therefore now I win.
How do you come to the truth about God or your religion being true?
So now,
what axioms do you use?
Let me just finish what I'm saying, and then I'll answer that question of yours. Number one, I can prove the Christian worldview to be true by the impossibility of the contrary. The Christian worldview provides the necessary preconditions for intelligibility, for logic, for beauty, for free will, for morality, objective morality.
Right. So
and all these things. So now,
hold on a minute, Anthony. Then look, Anthony, look what you've just done there. Right? You're saying you could checkmate me by simply saying that I have an axiom God is an axiom, something like that. Right? So you can just simply say God is this axiom, etc. But if that's the case, then somebody can reject that, right? You're saying where's the proof of that?
Maiden, so that's exactly my point to you. This is the dilemma that you're in. So you're claiming
your axiom is predicated on proofs and evidences?
No, I didn't say that. I said by the impossibility of the contrary.
What's the best definition of circularity?
I don't know what your name is. Philo? Is that your name?
Right, go ahead.
Philo. So let me address Maiden first, okay? Because he's not understanding the problem that he has in your guys' worldview. He's the one who has the problem by claiming that there's these axioms that you discover. I want to know how you know that you have the right axioms. I want to know how you know that you won't discover new axioms in the future. And I want to know that if other people have different axioms than yours, who is to say that your axioms are right and the other person's isn't?
I
My
think, dude,
point.
you have the
Hold on,
same
hold on,
problems.
hold on. I keep getting
You have the
interrupted. Let me
same
just finish what
problems.
I'm saying.
You think that
No,
you
I
don't,
don't.
but
No,
you
I
do
don't.
have.
Anthony,
Listen
you
for a
can't.
second. Let me finish what I'm saying. I have 1 second.
Anthony, no, Anthony, listen, let me answer
Maiden,
that.
you don't let people finish speaking. Let me finish speaking really quickly.
All right, all
Okay?
right.
Just very
Let
quickly. Just
them
let me finish and
finish.
then you can
Yeah.
go. Okay? The only reason why I said checkmate, God is an axiom, is just to show you the problem with your thinking. That
Right.
wasn't my argument.
I understand,
That,
Go
but
ahead.
let
okay,
me just
Madam, go ahead.
explain. So when you say these are just axioms, etc., or anybody can just make it up and so on and so forth, right? In the history of philosophy, you have come to discover ways of kind of.
Seatime, Madam, can you stop for a second? Seatime, can you mute yourself, please? Yeah,
Yeah, sure, sure.
there's a noise from your side.
In the history of philosophy, we have kind of found ways to give greater credence to certain axioms over others, right? And there is indeed in philosophy a difficulty regarding it being question begging. And the point what I'm trying to make here is that you have the same sort of issue with everything. Now, you are denying that that's a problem in your theory because you seem to think that you have a question begging free ideology or viewpoint, and I'm trying to say that that is impossible. So my first claim and objection against you is that whilst you believe that that's the case, I'm saying that is an impossibility. Number one. Number two, right? Although it has this kind of question begging element to it, right? Still, we kind of understand through philosophy, for example, philosophical thought introspection, that certain axioms are more plausible than others, right? So whilst it is the case that anybody can have any sort of axiom when it comes to, let's say, truth, right? And this, by the way, this is an argument that's been raised by people like Richard Rorty, relativism of truth, in the sense that there are, when you think back of how we justify anything, we for example may say correspondence theory of truth. And why is that true? Because we have our senses. And why is that true? Because we have sensations. At some point we hit rock bottom, right? And then we say that is just the starting point, right? It's a starting point for our thinking, right? So through this kind of backward regress of thinking, we come to realize there are certain axioms, right? In the same sense we do that for truth. I'm saying you can do that for morality as well, right? Even if somebody therefore comes along and says that my axiom for truth is, let's say I flip a coin to decide what is true or false. That is not a very good axiom for truth, simply because that's not what we mean by truth. Now, if somebody has a very different definition of truth, then they're just a radical, right? If somebody says that I learn about the world by flipping a coin or something like that, that's just not what we mean. But if somebody comes along and says, I use logic, I use science, I use analytical thinking, these are better fit candidates for the truth. Why is that? It just,
Because
we
when
do
you
kind of
apply it, it comports to reality more often than not.
Yeah. Now, in the same way you make that sort of argument, I submit you can make a similar argument for morality. So let's say I'm talking about morality. What do we, again, look how I started. I talked about truth, and then I linked the word truth to science, to analysis, to critical thinking. And I reject that truth is about blind belief, non-reasonable thinking, flipping a coin randomly, stuff like that, or eating a cake. Like I get to the truth by eating a cake or something. That just does nonsense. So if somebody comes out with those axioms, I'll say that's kind of nonsense. In similar vein, if somebody comes out with the following moral axioms, my morality is me being extremely selfish, me being extremely psychopathic, me being extremely kind of corrupt, me being I want to steal things. That is not what we mean by morality. There is no other way to go around it. It is through the basic kind of, you may even say the word intuitions that arises from when we say morality, right? Similar to the same intuitions that we get that arises from the word truth, right? Flipping a coin is contradictory to truth, and therefore being a selfish son of a bitch is contradictory to morality, right? And guess what? Many philosophers, moral philosophers today, 70 to 80% were atheists. That's how they argue it. They come out with certain moral axiom. They call it intuitions. I call it kind of axioms, etc.
Okay.
Okay, so
Shelley Kagan bases it on reason, pretty much, right? I think
okay.
there's one debate between Shelley Kagan and William Lane Craig. You can hear his thoughts and pretty eloquent thoughts on how he bases objective morality on reason, right?
Okay. So you see how, Maiden, I didn't cut you off. I let you speak.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I would hope that I get that same respect, because I'm not even long-winded. I'm just asking simple questions to you. Okay. So you said something about being selfish, and then you said son of a bee. I'm not going to repeat your language.
Yeah.
So is being selfish bad?
I being selfish. So if I said for the morality by morality that is contrary to being moral, then that is morally bad.
Okay.
Moral
So
badness.
It's contrary to being moral according to whose standard? Yours?
You're going back to the same problem again. What I'm saying is it is just the same way we come to arrive at truth, right? Look, the only way I can articulate this point is
how do we arrive at truth? How about we try this? How do we arrive at truth?
No, you answer me. How do you arrive at truth?
Listen, this is going to get nowhere quick, and I've been listening to it for too long.
It'll get somewhere.
Because
all right. Okay, let us ask you questions, basically.
Yeah.
I think we have given you enough time to ask questions on, and we agreed that we have some issues, and the point we have is that you are stuck with the same problems and Madan has pointed to it quite a few times, but
that's a fallacy, though. You're just saying that I have the same problems. I want you to answer the problems first, and then you can press.
So you think killing is immoral, right? Because God commands not killing, basically.
But that's irrelevant to what I'm asking right now. I want to know he still has not got out of
you made a point about Hitler, right? So I'm entitled to make a point by an example, right?
Sure, go ahead.
Right. So I'm saying you say that what Hitler did was absolutely immoral, right?
Correct.
Okay. What basis?
Because God said so.
All right. What happened to the Canaanites?
You're speaking about the Old Testament?
So
Yahweh
is not your God? Yahweh is not your God?
I personally...
Yahweh is not your God?
Maiden, relax.
You don't trust
in
Old
Genesis
Testament?
chapter 15, we're told that they're wicked.
You don't trust Old Testament?
First of all,
how about you let me answer the question?
First of all,
you're stuck. You know that you're stuck.
I'm stuck. I'm answering the question, and you won't let me answer.
You don't believe in Old Testament?
I do. Genesis chapter 15 says that their wickedness was so
then
bad
why are you
that's why that one of the reasons why that happened.
This is a bit of a tangent from the main one. I'm very perfectly happy if you want to talk about the objective basis of morality on atheism or naturalism, whatever.
No, I want to make a point that why double standards?
I just told if you let me answer. I mean, this is a very easy question. This has been asked so many times. It's a very easy answer to this. Number one, in Genesis chapter 15, we're told that the Canaanite idolatry and their immorality was overflowing.
So killing is right.
That was one reason. If you're the creator of the universe and you do that which he tells you, can you at least let me answer? I mean, I don't understand what
killing is right in certain circumstances, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's no problem with saying that. I believe in the death penalty and things like that. We're talking about unlawful
not
murder.
Objective anymore, right?
We're talking about Hitler. So you moved from Hitler to the Canaanites, and that's not even an appropriate contrast.
Anthony.
That's why this conversation isn't going to get anywhere, because you're using Bible and religion and scripture to try to prove our God, and you're not going to be able to do that with these naturalist, atheist scientists. Okay, you got to actually use science to try to prove our God, and not scripture or our Bible.
Jeffrey, number one, science is only possible because Christianity is true. Christianity provides.
You're correct, but they don't operate like that. They've probably never had a religious experience. They might not have even have children. They might not have felt the love of God that we somehow got lucky and felt.
Jeffrey, I don't appreciate you coming on our stream and telling us what we have or not. Okay, right in front of our faces, because if you do that, I'll just kick you out. Right?
All right, no worries.
I did not mean to offend anybody. I'm just trying to say that we need to prove our God through science and not through our scripture or through faith.
You got bitter pretty quickly, by the way. But go ahead. No worries. We didn't take it too hard.
Yeah. Anthony. So Anthony,
ahead, yeah.
This kind of conversation has become very convoluted now because there's lots of points. Let me just say the reason that I don't believe in divine command theory is simply because I think also you guys also believe in those moral axioms, and I think they are independent to even a God, because God cannot be the one who predicates those axioms, simply because the reason that you believe that God is commanding good things is because of his moral character, and his moral character is such that it is consistent with certain moral virtues like compassionate, benevolence, mercifulness, whatever. So it's like a Platonic sort of argument there. And I think those things, it's not that God commands rape to be wrong because he arbitrarily or subjectively, right? You believe that God objectively commands it to be wrong because it is wrong. But why is it wrong? It's because it is not consistent with a virtuous person or something like that, or it's not consistent with certain axioms, because God is a good person. But what does good mean here? Good means something like he's benevolent, he's a merciful, compassionate, just being, etc. And see, if we do that, then we can do away with the God in the first place. The reason that rape is wrong is because a compassionate being recognizes it is
wrong. A virtuous person won't do it.
So we both are
no. So I think you have something wrong there, though. I think you have something wrong there.
So divine
I hear what you're saying. Saying. So I think the one thing that that you've incorrect here is that the moral law is a reflection of who he is. It sounds like you're speaking of this benevolence as something abstract to him. God is love. He is by nature love. And so the moral law is a reflection of who he is. Therefore,
why is love good? Why is love good?
Hold on, Philo. So that would mean that God is necessary for these this objective moral standard.
So let me give you an example of something. So, for example, is benevolence good because God possesses it, or is benevolence good because benevolence is good?
So yeah, I've heard this in philosophical circles and stuff like that. I forget who it was who raised this. But I already answered this though. Something is good. So God is good by nature, and so
what does that mean? What does that mean?
What does that mean? Basically, God could be.
What does good mean? No. What does good mean? Define good.
Define good is whatever he tells us that it is.
So then, therefore, you believe in a subjective, arbitrary moral command theory. What does that mean?
No. What? No, how does that follow at all? So if God, hold on, listen. So God is good by nature. All that he does is good. So if
God is good by your definition of good, basically.
No, God is good by who he is, and he reveals that to us.
So if he were a murderous thug, he would still be good.
That would be contrary to who he is, and therefore that could not be so.
Well, the devil, just to let you know, the devil is some human being's God, and they take the devil's attributes and apply them to humanity, and those are the psychopath killers.
So, Anthony, what I'm trying to express it. So this doesn't have to be a provocative or confrontational conversation. It's actually quite interesting. Yeah. What I'm seeing here is that I personally think the term good sounds like an empty category unless we start defining it, right? And now you're defining it as goodness is identical to God, but it still seems undefined because it's just saying goodness is like Bob. But what is Bob? Well, Bob is goodness. What's goodness? Goodness is Bob. But what are we talking about here, right? When you say goodness is identical to God's character or something, then what is his character? Why is his character? Could it be logically possible that God's character could have been different and he'll still be good?
No, it's not logically possible.
Why couldn't God possess,
Why is
let's say, tyranny in his personality, and that be identical to goodness?
Because again, this is by nature who he is, and God does
Yeah.
not change.
So you
So
already
how do you arrive at that truth?
Yeah.
Basically,
because he
what-
revealed it to us.
so what if so that's the thing. It's
Yeah, so
almost
your
like
problem is now you're moving from that
Well,
to
one
revelation,
of you
right?
at a
How do
time.
you
One of you
how
one
do
of
you
you at a time. One of
okay,
you at a
go
time.
ahead, Madhav.
Philos-
Yeah.
Philosapiens, excuse me.
Yeah.
Can I add a small? Can I add a small question in this context?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, the one question from my side, from the Geoffrey is, he's told that there is a devil and who is doing all this shit. So, is there that God is not going to stop him, or he is more powerful than God, that he is able to do these things with the people which he had made already? So, can you explain this, please, for
Well,
me?
what made him keep asking me the questions? We can address that after.
That's just a free will situation. Everything God in his goodness and love created was created with free will because of his goodness and love. And if you choose to act upon a mischievous nature or a demonic nature, then that's your choice. And the love of our Creator God will demand retribution for how you chose to, act upon your fellow man. He's a God of righteousness. That's the love. That's the
No, no.
that's
Sometimes
the
we
love
do.
of the Creator
Sometimes,
God.
sometimes we do crime by mistake also. Not every time we just want to do that. Sometimes it's done by mistake also. So what was the cause of that? Why should it happen without our will? Do the God want to do that one that thing happen?
There's definitely good and evil in the world. There's yin and yang. There's positivity. There's negativity. And if you fall short and you sin, through our religion, we're allowed to repent and atone for that sin and be right with God. But other religions don't believe that. Other religions believe you can keep sinning and nothing will ever happen at the end, on the other side, and the atheist believes there is no other side, which gets to my point about
So,
how I'm going to try to make you guys believe that there is another side is through science, right? So do you guys believe in the essentially, everything in our physical reality emitted from one point? Is that the science you follow?
no, Geoffrey, what I am asking is different thing. I am asking the people don't will to do that, but by mistake it happened. So who is doing all this shit without the will of person? If I don't want to do mistakes and still the mistakes happens, or you can say the crime happens, would it is the God who wanted it to happen? Because if from my will was there or the God wills will be there, what was there actually?
We are creatures of free will. So if you act upon a negative thought and do a negative thing, then that was your choice. If it was like a random thing where you accidentally were speeding because you weren't paying attention to the dial, I mean, I don't know. This kind of stuff is beyond me because that's kind of something. It's hard to answer stuff like that.
I
You
think
guys are atheists. You don't even believe that there is
No, I'm not
a
atheist.
counter nature to
I'm
God's nature.
I'm not atheist. I'm not atheist, but I just wanted to know the perspective from the from your side, from the concept of God, what you have. So I
Yeah,
just
we
asked.
live in physical reality, and in physical reality, according to our scriptures, is the evil one's domain, and he will constantly be attacking us to create a negative situation to where we're outside of God's love. And the only way to be inside of God's love is to simply be in relationship with the creator and apologize for any sins you may have created or committed. That's all he wants is accountability. That's why he went on the cross for us. He took all of our sins. That was his gift to us. Now all we have to do is return the favor and be, take initiative to say sorry for the things that we do wrong in this world.
All right, Jeffrey. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you short
Yeah.
over here. That was
So
not what his question was. His question was being not exercising the free will and yet committing innocent kind of mistakes, that and who's doing that. But forget about that. I think let's
yeah,
Mahajan, you
we've
want
kind of
to add
had
something?
we have multiple different arguments being
Threads
run at the
threads
same
open
time.
right now.
Right?
Yeah, multiple different
I forgot
threads
which one
open.
to deal with, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, Jeffrey and what's your name again? Sorry.
Anthony.
No, the Hindu.
Seatime.
Seatime. Sorry, but the screen is really small and I can't see properly, and my
Seatime,
my
Seatime.
contact lenses are off. But if you guys want to, I mean, I'm sorry to stop your conversation, but it's just too many conversations happening. If you guys want to like converse later on the stream, you can do so, because we had like multiple arguments, one with Anthony, then Anthony versus Philo, then me versus Anthony, and yeah. So I don't know where to start again.
No, I'm already okay. I'm not going to in conversation. You guys can carry on. No problem.
Sure. I mean, so Anthony, on the divine command theory / morality thing, in terms of, I just think the reason that when I asked you why you think goodness is akin to God's character, is because you said you revealed it, and then there's a question begging element to that, in the sense that why it stops somewhere, right? The buck has to stop somewhere where he just revealed it, right? And then that's where you just stop, right? And somebody can just question that, and plenty of people don't believe in that, right? And in the same sense, there are people who don't believe, for example, morality is akin to those virtues that I mentioned, like compassion, and so on. But I hope that we both come to an agreement in the sense that we both agree that we do both agree. We may disagree at the justification, how to uphold those things, but we both agree that incompassionate behavior is the opposite of moral behavior. Selfish behavior is opposite of moral behavior, right? Certain virtues, such as being kind to your neighbor, seems to be moral behavior, right? And those are also exemplified in God's character, right? And the reason God's character exemplifies those ones is because to be morally good, he has to possess those characteristics. If he had different characteristics, if he was selfish, then he won't be commanding, he won't be morally good. There's a connection between, therefore, those virtues and when we say it's morally good. We both agree with that. We're just coming to this same conclusion differently. For some reason, you think the fact that God possesses it is enough, whereas I just skip that part. I just don't think it doesn't have to be embodied in a person. The connection, it is an abstract thought. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, moral behavior is those things. There's a connection between the two things, right? You just have a God in the middle of it, upholding it, and I just don't see the need for it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, Maiden. So here's the thing. Oh,
Yeah.
are you still talking?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's the thing. Number one, you're not doing an internal critique on my worldview, and what I mean by that is you're saying, if God was different, that's not something that comports with my worldview. God cannot change. God is who He is. Okay. So that's number one. And number two, the problem with what you're saying is you continue, and I don't think you realize this, but you continue to presuppose this moral standard in everything that you're saying. And so you're saying that, well, this seems to be bad. This seems to be wrong. Well, why? Who says? And then you're just going to say, well, because this axiom. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, I have a different axiom than you do. And so you can never actually justify why something is right or wrong. So although you're saying that murder is wrong, which I'm glad that you say that, and you're saying we're both saying murder is wrong, but we're arriving at that conclusion from different ways. I'm saying that you can't actually justify why you arrive at that conclusion. Whereas me, I mean, this is very simple, right? So, for example, if you're a house owner, okay, and you come to my house and you start pissing on the wall, and I get mad at you for doing that. Well, these are the rules of my house. You can't do that. I make the rules. It's my house, and let's say I built the house as well. I built the house, and you come into my house, and you violated the rules, and so now you're going to get punished for it. I mean, this is very simple stuff when it comes to God. God's the one who created all things. He gave us a moral law, which is a reflection of who he is, and therefore we're to abide by it. So I still don't see how you've answered my question of how you can justify morality.
Yeah.
The reasons
I
that
think
already
Madan
stated. Go
already
ahead.
answered to your problem, Anthony, and that's because there is a certain arbitrariness associated with your worldview because, uh, you know, uh, you just don't have a good definition of what good is because it's in the nature of God. But then the same problem stays basically.
Well, no, it doesn't,
You're
because
not
I
going
can explain
anywhere.
to you what that means to be
And
good. So,
I gave you an example for it
Yeah,
basically because you think that
no,
murder is sorry, Madan, go
yeah.
ahead.
well,
Actually, you have both an epistemological problem and an ontological problem then. Because if you just say God revealed it so, then you're saying you don't have a moral standard, right, of yourself, but God reveals the moral standard, but you can't determine what that moral standard is, one. So
that's
therefore,
incorrect. So that's incorrect. So number one, to
wait,
give you
I'm
an
not finished.
understanding of the
Yeah,
Christian worldview, that
I've
just
not,
isn't against my position, though. The Christian
Anthony,
worldview teaches two things: that
yeah,
that
Anthony,
that this moral standard is written upon the hearts of every man who comes into this world. So I have an innate knowledge of what is right and wrong. That's number one. And number two,
well,
he reveals it to us through his revealed revelation or his written revelation as well. So I do know what is right and wrong by virtue of being an image bearer of God and his law being written upon me.
right, but because you don't have your own moral standard to adjudicate that, right? He could have written into your heart something that is completely false.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know. How would you know? Basically, you still have
Can you
you're
see the
still stuck
question
with the
begging?
epistemological problem.
There'll always be a question beggingness there. Can you see?
Yeah.
He could have written that. That's why it's an epistemological problem. The second problem is an ontological one, in the sense that I don't think morals can be seated in a mind, or a commander can't just command it into existence by just mere revelation, because then it will become arbitrary. In order to avoid the arbitrariness of it, you have to say that it's part of his character, and then assign it certain abstract axioms, just like I have.
So explain to me
Mhm.
what you guys are trying to tell me where I'm being arbitrary, and what was the
Yeah.
other accusation? Someone said arbitrary, and someone said something else. Explain to me how I'm
Yeah.
guilty of those two things.
No, I'm not saying you are being arbitrary. I'm saying you can fall into.
Someone said I was being arbitrary. It's okay. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I just want to
Yeah, I
know,
know.
because
Yeah.
I hear a criticism. Not that I'm
Yes.
mad about it. I mean, we're having a good conversation, but
Yeah,
I hear
yeah.
a criticism, but I'm failing to hear an argument.
Sure,
I,
sure. So
I said
let's
your
do.
moral commands are arbitrary, not
Yeah.
that you are being arbitrary.
Oh, no, yeah, like I said, Philo. I'm not mad about it. I just
Yeah.
so my moral commands are arbitrary. How are they arbitrary? Is what I'm trying to ask.
Because you
So
don't have any measure on what good
yeah.
is, basically. That's the problem.
I do have a
You
measure
still
on what
don't
good is,
understand.
though.
This is for the fourth time we are telling you the same thing, Anthony.
Well, I don't think you understand. That's why I'm asking, because I do know what
Oh,
right and
man,
wrong is.
come on.
I do know what right and wrong is. God
Okay,
revealed it to
what
me.
is good according to you?
Okay,
What
and
God commands, right? It's in God's nature,
good is doing what God says to do.
right?
That
And
sounds circular to you, doesn't it? Can
it's
it
circular,
cannot?
right?
Okay, so here's the thing. So you could say that that's circular, fine, right? And matter of fact, when everything boils down to it, right, like you hinted at before, okay,
Yeah.
what I was
That's
trying to do is make a distinction here. Hold on, time
Yeah, yeah,
out, Maiden.
yeah.
I'll make a distinction between two things.
Okay.
Okay, number one, yes, ultimately, what I believe is circular, but the way in which I argue for it is not circular. I'm arguing for it by the transcendentally. Okay, and so yeah, I mean, there's no problem with that. God swears by himself. Why? Because he's the highest standard by which he could swear by. There's no one higher than him. Okay, so there's no problem with this circularity. I don't really necessarily have a problem with that. The problem is how do you, and when it becomes a fallacy, is when in an argument, you have your conclusion in one of your premises, and that's not, my arguments haven't been that. Hello?
All right. Yeah. I think we were fairly clear. I mean, what the problem is in your argument, basically, and yeah,
What is it?
I
What is wrong?
really.
I still have yet to understand what's wrong.
All right. So, okay, let's take an example, right? You say God commands whatever God commands is going to be good. Is that true or not? Let's take it step
Yes.
by step, right?
Yes.
And God's nature is good.
Correct.
What is that definition of good?
Good is what God says is good. And when it's speaking
And
about
this
his
is
nature,
circular, right? This is
so if
circular.
yes,
This is circular, right? Already
I have no
we
problem
arrived
with
at a
admitting that.
circularity, right?
Yes, I have no problem with admitting that.
Okay. Now, God could, if He willed, commanded to kill all the Jews in the Holocaust, right?
Say that one more
No,
time. I'm
sorry,
sorry.
sorry. I was a bit distracted then. Sorry, what happened?
Hold on, Maiden. Philo just asked me a question. Say it one more time,
Right.
Philo.
So what I'm saying, just like the Canaanites, and I'm just giving an example here, and I'm just saying the absurdity of this whole thing. It would have been God who would have commanded Hitler to kill all the Jews. Possible, right?
No, it's impossible. It would go against his nature to do something like that.
All right. But he would do the same thing against the Canaanites, right?
Because the Canaanites deserve to be killed.
Okay. So it's possible that Jews deserve to be killed. It is possible. I'm not saying it is. Only God would know. You wouldn't know, right?
And we do know. He reveals.
There might be reasons you don't know. There might be reasons you don't know.
No,
right?
there was
Why
no
would God
there
tell
was
you all the
nothing that could
reasons?
justify what Hitler did.
No, you're not being consistent. You understand how foolish and stupid your stance is right now?
No, it's not, because here's the
It
problem with what
is.
you're
It
saying.
is because
God
you
specifically
just can't
told the
square it,
Jews to,
basically.
no,
You just
God
can't square it.
listen,
Yeah,
Philo.
right?
God specifically told the Jews to do XYZ because of the Canaanites' rebellion, because of their idolatry. And then you're trying to take the Holocaust and say he could have
God specifically
potentially. No,
told
he's
Hitler to
revealed to
do
us
what
what
he
is
did,
right and
right?
wrong, and he doesn't.
God specifically told Hitler to do what he did, right?
No, he didn't. And that's
How do you
the
know?
problem
How
with
do
what
you
you're
know
saying.
that?
Where's the evidence for that? Do you
How
find
do
that in
you know
God's
that he
word?
did?
Do you find that in
Do
God's word?
you
Can
have
I
free
ask
will?
something?
Do you guys have free will to go do whatever you feel like doing?
On your absurdity, that the absurd worldview that you hold is it's clear to everyone, right? I mean,
Well, Geoffrey,
first
I
thing
mean,
is
I
your
don't think. I'm sorry, not
circularity, and
Geoffrey.
then this the absurdity, basically, right?
Philo, I
Madam,
don't
you
think
wanted
that
to add something to
you're
it?
being actually fair at all. I think you're being quite dishonest. Because number
No,
one,
I'm
you're
not
not
being
even allowing me
dishonest.
to
This is
answer.
the
You're not
you can
allowing me to
go
answer number one, and you
you can
know
go and
what you
you
just
can
did was
go and
dishonest.
listen to our stream on our critique of William Lane Craig on Canaanite genocide, basically, right? Go ahead and listen to that.
Okay, so now can I give you guys a point that I'd like to have it totally unrelated to scripture, because I understand how you guys will, you just have no belief in the scripture, so why would you put any credit towards it? So no matter what God says, it don't matter to you because there is no God according to you guys' logic about reality. So do you guys, since you're all scientists, I'm a layman, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a theologian, I'm not anything. I'm just a normal construction worker. But I have delved into ancient, different ancient religions and try to get a cohesive, you know, thought process out of all of it is kind of hard to do. And I also believe a lot in science because obviously my whole physical reality revolves around science. So, do you guys believe that our physical reality came from, one point?
I don't know what you mean by one point, basically. Yeah.
Big Bang Theory?
Right, but where does the Big Bang Theory said that everything started from one point?
Well, according to science, they taking calculations of the expansion of the universe, and they say that it's all expanding at such a rate, and it's either accelerating or decelerating. I don't really know exactly, but they're saying that its trajectory, that through science they can say it all came from one point, the Big
No,
Bang
I
Theory.
don't think I don't think Big Bang Theory says that. It says that if you take if you take Einstein's field equations and then calculate that the expanding universe is contracting, there'll be a point in time 13.8 billion years ago when there was a singularity when the expansion began. But then the classical physics breaks down at that point because the quantum effects become so strong that you cannot ignore them, and you don't know at that point whether the gravity is actually a repulsive force or an attractive force. So you see the point. We can't
Yeah,
tell
so
whether it was
essentially
we can't say
science
whether it
can
was a
explain
phenomenon
our origins, and so we got a double problem, Science can explain the origins of the universe, and
no,
according to you guys,
it cannot
neither can the
explain the
Bible.
it cannot
So
explain the absolute
yeah,
origin.
yeah.
It can take you to a certain point. Madan, go
No,
ahead,
no.
please.
I mean, why? The thing is, sorry. I know I was absent for a while. I mean, the way I would frame it is that I won't say science can't explain the origins of the universe. I mean, I think the success of science when it comes to cosmology has a greater ability or confidence that we could put it onto it, given that it's the racehorse that has the greatest frequency to be able to explain things with predictive power, and therefore it has a higher likelihood of explaining perhaps the origins of the universe, given its track record. So, although you're right in technically speaking that science hasn't solved everything regarding the mysteries of the universe, given the history, you can say it's induction. Given if the moon is coming up every night or something like that, the sun is coming up every day, it seems to be a good reason to believe it'll come up the next day or something like that. In similar vein, I would hedge my bets in the direction of science to answer those questions, specifically about the early universe or universes, right? So it's called the success argument from a success of science is a purely probabilistic argument.
Okay, so let's say,
It's a Bayesian probability, basically, I would say.
yeah, so
Given
let's
that science
say
has been
you
true all
you
the time, most of the times, there's a high
yeah,
probability.
so it's going to repeat itself. It's going to be true all the time.
Not all the
It
time. I
takes
think the
thousands
success.
of years for things to develop, millions upon millions of years for things to develop. And so if you do bring it back down, all of physical reality, bring it all the way back down to where, it's not the single point, but it's close enough to where everything, we don't know whether it's positive or negative, like you were saying. So for all that physical reality to develop, then you can add the theory of, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, what would the equal and opposite reaction to all of physical reality that we understand as of now in our scientific development? What would that equal and opposite reaction to all that physical matter and physical reality that we know of today? What would that look like?
All right,
I'm not sure
I'm
what
not
you mean
getting
there. Yeah,
getting your question, to be
yeah.
honest. I
So
think
No,
if you,
I
I
got
mean,
it. I got
if
it.
you're thinking,
I
if you're
got what
thinking,
Geoffrey said. He's
right,
right.
saying that when the Big Bang happens, all these things comes out. So what was the opposite has to be happen with this also within this process. So what happened in the negative side of this whole process? Because every action has an equal and opposite reaction according to him. But one
Right.
thing
yeah, I
which
mean, that's what I mean. I don't know. I mean, if that's the question or not. But what
Yeah.
I wanted to say to this was that, I mean, you're taking Newton's law to be a fundamental reality. I think it applies to the material world, but to a
Not
metaphysical world, I'm
singularity.
not quite sure whether it does.
No, on
Right?
the
Even
singularity,
in the
it is
quantum
not there.
realm, I'm not quite sure
The
if it
con
does.
In the quantum world, it is not working.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying. In the quantum world,
yeah,
I'm not sure it does work though.
it doesn't work. Because
I
in
mean,
the quantum world you have
there are.
infinite number of possibilities are there at the same time, so there is no need for your negative and positive reactions at the same, because it's already happening all the time. So
Yeah,
that's
equal and
wonderful.
opposite reaction is strictly Newtonian physics. I mean, you can
So
find
there's no equal and opposite reaction to all physical reality that we know of as the universe.
I'm not quite sure what do you mean equal and
At
opposite
smaller
to the whole
quantum scales, it
reality.
may not be
Is the
applicable.
question is
Outside
that
of the universe, it may not be applicable. In different universes, it might be different, right? The things that happen within the universe, the rules of the universe may not be applicable to the rules before this particular universe. That's kind of way to look at it. I'm being very elementary here. I'm talking about it. I'm just trying to explain how I look at it, right? But the Newtonian framework applies in a particular zone.
So it's been proven through science that there's alternate universes. Is that what you just said?
No, I think that's a conjecture, by the way. That's a conjecture.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Because there's only, from what I know about science, there's only one universe, and that universe is quite vast, and we don't even have any shot of seeing the end of it. But it's not multiple universes, as far as our science can prove.
Possibility. It's a hypothesis, by the way.
Yeah, at the Big Bang, when we go all the way back to the Big Bang, things kind of disappear into mystery, in the sense that it doesn't really say. The Big Bang theory right now, it doesn't really say, it's not saying that there was nothing and then a bang happened, right? It just basically means that there was a singularity, and then our knowledge of what happened before that kind of disappears.
Yeah, I think there was a rapid expansion, kind of an exponential expansion, is what the theory predicts.
Yeah,
a lot of the models predict, basically, and especially the Bode-Guth-Wellington theorem that was published in 2005, I believe, or 2004. There is a very strong hypothesis that the rapid expansion happened, but in the quantum realm, and especially in the Planck realm, the Newtonian physics breaks down pretty much. Not even Newtonian.
Physics breaks down,
even the Einsteinian physics breaks down, basically.
So at that point, we can't say what exactly was happening.
General relativity theory doesn't apply in that realm, basically.
Now, in cosmology, there are various working hypotheses that there's a multiverse, or there was a sea of universes, or this universe, kind of expanded into itself and then expands out again, and all of these things. We don't know exactly which one it is, right?
Okay, so I asked the question. There's obviously no answer. You guys are very smart guys.
Geoffrey, one thing more I have to add in your answer, that on the quantum in the quantum world, it is possible to have something from nothing. It is there. A possibility is there that
end of a black hole or whatever.
You're talking about Lawrence Krauss's hypothesis, and that nothing is not absolutely nothing, because the definition of absolutely nothing is that it has no potentiality, basically. So what Lawrence Krauss's nothing is the sea of quantum fluctuations, basically.
Yeah, but
so
string theory.
at least something can arise from it. So Seatime, I'm just correcting you over there, basically. It's not absolutely nothing, because when you define absolute nothing in philosophical terms, it by definition has no potentiality, basically. So nothing can arise from it by definition, basically, right? So there are so many different definitions of word nothing. You have to be really careful as to which one is being used where, right?
Yeah, understood.
Right. So anyways, Geoffrey, Anthony, it was a good conversation. No hard feelings. I think we have opposing. Seatime. Hold on for a second, please. Hold on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Everybody, Seatime as well. We had
Where's
a nice
your
conversation.
Honey?
Geoffrey, can you mute yourself, please? Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So it was a nice conversation. No hard
So
feelings. I think
Sapience,
it's time to close the.
can you please excuse me for a while? I have to say something because in the starting I just told you that I need some time after the all people have done. I just need some time to explain some of these things which the Muslim guy who came and he asked some questions about the Hinduism. So I just want to clarify very in very short time. So I just
Okay,
need
okay,
some.
Martin, that's okay, right? I think, yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I think we'll take a leave from Geoffrey and Anthony because it was a heated conversation in some sense, but I hope we're still
Yeah, I
good
think
with it.
when
You can
there's too
drop
many
by next
people,
time as
yeah.
well. I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think when there's too many people, it's just gets a little bit all over the place as well. But I can be all over the. I can be quite combative as well, so that doesn't help. But yeah, so Anthony, if you would want another conversation with me, for example, I don't feel like I hate when it's unfinished. I like to talk endlessly about this,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I don't want to. Yeah, and I don't want to avoid anything. So if you want to, if you want to reschedule and just
Yeah.
take off from where we left off, maybe you and I can have just a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
enjoy that a
maybe
lot.
you can
Yeah,
do
for sure.
a solo stream, Martin. Yeah,
Yeah.
do a solo stream anytime you want,
So,
right? You
Anthony,
when
if you want to pop us your email so that we can contact you
Yeah.
one of these days, then that would be
Yeah.
good.
All right, and before any okay, before anybody talks, I'll just plug in our channel, Anthony and Geoffrey as well. Geoffrey, let me know if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Geoffrey, right? So anybody who's listening as
That's
well, please subscribe to our English only channel. That's written underneath my Philo Sapience channel name. It's Unveiling Faith. So that's going to become our de facto English only channel, and Philo Sapiens will phase it out as Hindi Urdu only channel. So for the timing we are using it for English streams as well, but once our Unveiling Faith channel comes up and has enough number of subscribers, then we are going to move our English only streams on that channel, and those are going to be heavy duty philosophical streams, as you can understand. So yeah, subscribe and share, and leave a comment as to what arguments you thought were good, bad, point flaws at our arguments or our opponents' arguments as well. And yeah, that's about it. And if you want to support us, please think of supporting us. You can see that in the banner bar, you can see where you can support us, basically, right? Madin, sorry, you wanted Seatime. You wanted to add something.
Well,
Anthony
let me
and
just say bye
Geoffrey.
real
Yeah,
quick. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it. Like you said, I mean, I love having discussions like these. So yeah, I understand they get a little heated. So no hard feelings or anything like that. Maiden, I put my email in the chat. So hopefully you're able to get that, and maybe we can schedule something in the future, or if I see you guys live again, as long as you guys let me up, I'll be up here. So. You guys
Sure,
Okay.
have a
not a
good one, all
problem.
right?
If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do so, and this one as well as Unveiling Faith, and you'll get a notification if you press the notification bell. But
All right, gentlemen, you
whichever
have a
way
good
you
one, all
want to
right?
do it, yeah, whichever way you want to do it.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye, Geoffrey, bye, Anthony. All right, Seatime.
Yeah.
What do you have?
Yeah, philosophers. I just want to add that at that point, the person, the Muslim guy who has just said that we are our idolatry is different and that idolatry is different, is totally very vague. Because as we are humans, and from the side I belongs from the Advaita Vedanta side, if you know. I think you have heard of that. So in Advait Vedanta it is said that the philosophy is this, that everything is God only. Everything which exists or does not exist, everything is God. So in this thing only God exists and nothing other than God exists. if you say in this term also.
So
So
it's pantheism basically, right?
no, it's not confusing. It's very, very, very. If I
No.
get
I'm
some
saying
time,
it's
I will
pantheism, right?
explain it later. I will explain it later. Or if you want me to explain it now, it will take some time.
No, okay, go ahead. Finish your point. I think we'll talk
Yeah.
about that
So what
later, right? What this
he said
philosophy.
that he differentiate between the idolatries. But if you see, we are humans. We have limited sense. We cannot perceive everything in the world. So if we want or we don't want, we all need symbolism. We all have to get some symbolism to connect with the formless entity, because we cannot relate with him directly. So if we accept or we don't accept honestly, but we all are doing the same things, just the name has changed, and everything other than that is the same. you know you said it is kava and it is not idol, but it is idol, it is symbolism. Like with the if you want to show some relationship for a thing which you cannot define very clearly, it needs to have a symbolism. Like with the country also, we are just saluting our flag, but it's symbolism for the respect of that country, not for the flag, in a very civic sense. So if you accept it or you don't accept it, everything, if even if you are using any direction, that direction is also a physical thing. you know you need direction also. If you are using that also, that's also a physical thing. It is not if I start saying that you are worshipping that direction, is not very good argument, because we all know it's just a symbol. It's symbolism, or you can say it's a idolatry in the form of that. You just
Yes.
idealize something through your physical or your civil sense. you know
Yes. Yeah.
so that was my point was there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I think when Muslims over exaggerate the difficulties or problems with Hinduism by simplifying it into this kind of elementary picture of where you just create this kind of rock or a statue, and how could a statue just be this god? I think they're just not being critical as they should be, because as you just said, you're not thinking that the statue what is God. You think the statue is maybe a representation, maybe under certain perspectives there's some sort of ensoulment. Maybe I'm not saying this is right. I'm just thinking of possible ways where it's just how it could keep it distinct. That's two distinct entities. It's like substance dualism, right? You have
Yeah.
a god with feelings, desires. You can say powers, and they may
Yeah.
come together in this kind of statue form, let's say. But it's not the statue, right?
Yeah.
The statue itself is not God. It's a representation of God, or some sort of vehicle to God, or something like that. And it's very similar to the Kaaba, in the sense that the Kaaba isn't
Or
God.
even direction, even they are saying that it is just a direction. The direction is also physical things. It's a
Yes,
physical reality. Direction you are using, why are you using that direction also? Because you
exactly.
need something to relate. That's the thing only. Or
Yes.
nothing there other than that.
Yeah, I've always had this problem with Muslims when they say stuff like that, where they destroyed all the idols, saying that idol worship is, the other problem with it. The other problem with this view is that there's a massive unwillingness amongst Muslims to have like grave sites or any other representation, because there's a danger of associating divinity to it, right? So
Yes.
you can't draw pictures, or you can't like worship somebody's grave,
Hmm.
because sorry, not have a grave and pray towards it, because there's a danger that you'll worship it. But they can't. They understand that, therefore, if you create these things, there's a danger of worship. But they don't seem to realize that the same problem exists with
Madin, one
the Kaaba.
thing more. One thing more. they are just saying we only bow to the Almighty and we don't bow on anything else. If they go with this perspective also, do they don't give thanks to their soul partners or some friends or some
Yeah, they
father?
do.
They don't
Exactly.
thank them with them.
Yes.
They thanks
Yes.
them, no? Yeah.
Yes.
So what is the difficulty if somebody is thanking some his god or some his idol, which he thinks he is very beneficial for him? What is the difficulty in that? You are giving
Yeah.
thanks to your mother, father, your friends or something. It's okay. But when somebody is giving thanks to his idol or some rivers or mountains, which worshipping is just giving thanks, showing their what you call showing respect to that thing. So it's not very very
Exactly.
different
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
perspective. No.
Yeah, just as you said, we're not. According to Muslims, they're not worshiping their mother. They're not worshiping their father. But if that's allowed, and we recognize the distinction, then why
Yeah.
can't? Why is it called accidental worship if you give thanks to nature, right?
Yeah.
Like something or a tree, because you might end up worshiping the tree or worshiping somebody's grave. But they understand that. They understand that it's not worship when it comes to saying thanks to your mother, but for some reason they think when your mother passes away and you go to her grave and you kind of
Yeah.
decorate the grave with flowers, there's a
Hmm.
danger of worshipping it like a shrine, putting it
What?
on par of God, which is not the case. We're just thanking,
Yeah.
or
All right,
appreciating.
fellas, we need to
Yeah,
wrap up here.
yeah.
Tea time, I think we'll continue next time, right?
Yeah, sure, bro. Very,
All right.
very, very
All right.
nice, very nice
Yeah, otherwise it's gonna just keep going
conversation.
on and on, right? Sorry, huh? I had to interrupt.
Yeah, yeah, no, no problem, bro.
All
We'll
right.
see you
All
next
right.
time. Very
All
thank
right.
you.
Same. Okay. Jeffrey,
Yeah.
all right.
Are
Nice
you guys
talking to you.
done? Because
More
I had
feeling.
one question that I didn't get answered earlier.
Okay, go ahead.
So simply, you guys obviously believe heavily in science, which I do too. What do you guys think about the over 4,000 recordings of out of body experiences after the human body has flatlined?
Okay.
I think first thing first, I'll question the source of that, and there
Yeah.
might have been some some of those cases where science may be not able to explain all those cases. Maybe somebody died for more than like an hour.
Yeah. I
Usually they
mean,
say that
what I
it
would
is
say,
8 minutes or so, and then
yeah.
people can still come back. But then people sometimes there have been cases where people have flatlined for more than an hour and they have come back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So there have been
that's not
many
my
cases
question.
like
My
that.
question is the information that they come back from
Yeah.
a lot of
So,
they
Jeffrey,
started,
There hasn't
medically
been any
reporting
reliable,
these things.
Jeffrey, there
Jeffrey,
hasn't been any reliable, testable methodology that they have taken to, ascertain that. You know, I have read such cases by one person called, he's an American scientist, probably not scientist,
philosopher.
but yeah, parapsychologist or something like that, or psychologist, something like that. Stevenson or something like that. He died or he wrote about those cases in one of his books, basically. And I read a few cases, and I thought the methodology was not really robust, basically. So I'll have to, I'll say that I don't have the whole knowledge of those
Yeah.
cases completely, but I'll doubt the methodology basically as to how that was established, basically.
Jeffrey, what I would respond with that. I can't go in a back and forth with you regarding it because we are on the verge of going. We got work, tomorrow as well. But let me just say a few things regarding that. So there is a philosopher called who's worked in conjunction with psychologists. He did a massive review. He did a massive critical review of the science of this. His name is Keith Augustine. You may have heard of him. You may or may not have heard of him. And I lean towards his conclusions. He's also an atheist, so maybe you could say that it's obviously I'm attracted to his view. But I am partly an atheist because of his views. So it's the consequence of his work, really. When I was investigating these things, but he kind of did quite extensive research on the vast majority of the studies on these things, and and he exposed and showed that there's plenty of methodological defects regarding the recordings of these memories and testimonies, many of them of which can be attributed to certain things that these people prior to passing away saw. They regurgitate things that they know about from within the medical room or the hospital that they were in.
Yeah, like the ones that really got me were when they would float into the next room over and witness a surgery, and then the medical team would go and research that information and find out that yes, there was 2 nurses and 2 different doctors. One had a purple scrubs on, 3 of them had green scrubs on, and they could totally, match what happened in the next room over to this patient's thing.
Yeah, well, what you should do is you should send some of these studies, because a lot of those studies that I've read are very similar to that, where there's remarkable, rich, vibrant memory or retelling of something that happened that they could not have known, like in a different room. But then when you investigate further, you learn that these are very generic descriptions, or a very ambiguous language was used, which can easily be kind of too vague to be reliable, or it was things that they did see. Or we could not rule out the possibility that it was sufficiently controlled that we can confidently say that they never saw what happened in the other rooms.
Well, that would be my only way of proving to you guys, about the other side, is if those become more robust with more, more science documenting the situation is exactly what they're doing, because this was obviously never documented in the 70s and then started getting documented probably in the 90s. So hopefully they get more robust, and then you guys will become believers if you guys, see that people are going somewhere and then coming back into their bodies.
All right. I think, Geoffrey, we should take up this question probably further in next streams when you drop by. Do come by.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
All right. You have a good night as well. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night. All right, guys, everybody. Great stream. It's quite late, 2.5 hour stream. So bye for now. See you guys in the next stream. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night.